Good morning, everybody. It is Friday, March 1st, 8:46 a.m. We are here. We are alive on planet freaking Earth somehow. All of our parents did the fun at some point, and we popped out, and now we're here, and we're alive on this planet at this moment in time. We will never have this moment again, and all of us are here together to analyze the markets. Thank you, everybody, for being here with me. It is Friday. We are at the end of the week, but we are at the beginning of the month, and it's one of those days where, well, we've got some interesting stuff to talk about. First of all, obviously, Bitcoin 62,000. BlackRock now has $10 billion under management in their IBIT ETF. Incredible stuff for BlackRock. The inflows are starting to go kind of bonanza, and that's why we're seeing Bitcoin still hover around the $62,590 level range. Palantir up about 1.2% in the pre-market, $25.38. It closed at $25 for the fourth time since October 2021, which is what is really exciting about Palantir. We also will find out today the S&P 500 rebalance. Maybe Palantir gets included, maybe they don't. I'm not sure if they're going to get included, but if they do get included, that would be huge news, and we'll see if that ends up happening. And the broader markets seem to be up in the pre-market primarily because we got really good inflation data yesterday, and that inflation data is helping the market be very excited. On top of that, Elon Musk is suing OpenAI. Obviously, he was one of the original founders of OpenAI, gave them the seed funding to get started. The lawsuit is that, hey, you were supposed to be a nonprofit, now you're a profit, and this is going to be a story that probably encapsulates the broader part of the year, or it's going to be a story that dies like when he sued Threads for like kind of copying Twitter. It's going to be one or the other, and I think it might be a story that ends up taking up a decent chunk of months in this year. And then finally, I have an announcement, as you guys can see in the title. Now, I'm going to wait for 10 minutes. I'm going to let people get in here at 9 a.m. I will do the announcement. We'll do some market analysis until I get into the announcement. But I will make the announcement. I also want to wait a little bit because if I announce it right now, then everyone new that joins is going to be like, what's the announcement? What's the announcement? So let me wait a little bit. And it's going to be a really interesting announcement. It's one of those announcements where, by the way, Dogecoin is up 8%. I just got a notification. It's one of those announcements where I don't really know how this happened to me, but it did happen. It's one of those things where you kind of look to the sky and you kind of thank the universe, thank anything that's out there. And you're just like, all right, I think I worked hard enough to get this opportunity. So I'm thankful that the universe is kind of reciprocating back. And that's what the announcement is going to be. It is an investment into a company, and I'll be explaining the investment at 9 p.m. Mad Dome says Amit is coming out. You guys are so mean in the chat. Okay, first of all, there would be nothing wrong if I was coming out, but I'm not coming out. That's not the announcement. By the way, if I was gay, I would have just told you guys I was gay. Like, I don't care what you guys like. I'm gay, but like I'm actually not gay. All right. If gay means happy, then I'm very gay this morning based on this announcement. But that is not the announcement. So at 9 p.m. or 9 a.m., I'll announce what's happening today. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Let's get into the market open. Ray, Van, Diane, Rick. The Giant says the best part of waking up is having Amit tell us to wake our asses up. I love it. Mark, Daniel, Kaiser, Iceman, JJ, Johnny Boy, Justin, Wick, John, Jack, Kelly. Thank you for being here. Kelly's another reason I'm not gay because, well, I'm with Kelly, so I'm not gay. Tabor, Mola, Morrow, Bryant, Juan Carlos, Quick Pump, Daniel, John, Alexandro, George, 808 Trades, The Market Union, Mitch, Claus. Thank you all for being here. All right, let's get into it. So first of all, let's take a look at some of the stuff we got going on in the pre-market. And let me share a couple of these details. Let's also say what Elon Musk tweeted this morning. This is not just the OpenAI lawsuit. This is actually kind of crazier than that, in my opinion. And then at 9 a.m., I will be making my announcement. Addy says, don't forget me. Addy, I see you in the chat. Thank you for being here, Addy. Okay, so Elon Musk in the morning. I woke up and this is the first thing I saw. Okay, this is the first thing I saw. You guys know that company Figure? That company we talked about a couple of days ago that ended up saying right here, Brett, the founder, said they have raised $675 million at a $2.6 billion valuation. And that valuation has been led by NVIDIA, Microsoft, Amazon, Jeff Bezos's VC fund, Bezos Expeditions, Intel, and Samsung. So that's what Brett is saying invested in the company. Those are the players that invested. Elon Musk today at 1:25 a.m. said, bring it on. This is insane. This is a startup that is 2 years old that just raised from the biggest names in technology. I mean, this startup, like they raised 675 million. First of all, that's an insane amount. But second of all, they're 2 years old. And third of all, they're going up against Elon's Tesla Optimus bot, right? And so from that perspective, Elon saying bring it on to me is him acknowledging not only are these guys real competition, that's actually a great sign of respect for this CEO, Brett Adcock, who's an absolute rock star. But it's him kind of saying, look, Optimus is real, robotics is real, humanoid robotics is real. And as a result of that, we are going to start competing. I think the market is going to start giving Tesla, not necessarily a premium, but a little bit of a nod in terms of how Wall Street is going to analyze the robotics part of the business. Because I believe at a $642 billion valuation, Tesla right now, you could say it's a bit pricey. It's kind of things are baked in. I don't think the TAM for humanoid robotics is necessarily baked in. I don't think Wall Street, even, the guy from the Jonas Brothers band, Adam Jonas, whatever his name is at JP Morgan, I don't think he's even come to that conclusion around what robotics could look like for Tesla. So there you go. Elon Musk basically telling a competitor that's $2 billion and Tesla's $640 billion. Hey, bring it on. Like, I'm ready to compete with you. It's a real sign of respect. And it's going to be really exciting to see how that story ends up playing out. CleanSpark right now up about 0.18% in the pre-market. SMCI 870 right now up 0.51%. Palantir 1.19%, 2538. Again, we'll know about the S&P 500. Everyone's saying the rebalance happens on the third Friday of March. That is correct. That's when the rebalance actually happens. I believe from what I'm seeing, the announcement happens today on the first Friday of March. So yes, the announcement will likely happen today after hours, but the actual rebalance, if Palantir is included, will technically occur in the third week of March. So we'll see when that happens. Robinhood 1631 in the pre-markets. Nvidia 791, or sorry, $800. They're up 1.15%. AMD, I have no idea why this company is up 12% in the past 24 hours. They're up another 3% in the pre-market, but they are up. They are up right now. And AMD, you got AMD at 197. Fubo had earnings. Oh, wow. Fubo's up 15%. Fubo is up 15%. Let me pull up Fubo's numbers real quick. Again, I'll be doing the announcement in about 7 minutes, guys. So right at about 9 a.m., I'll be making the announcement. Fubo had an earnings beat. They had an earnings beat. Record 1.6 million paid subscribers, 29% year-over-year revenue growth, exceeded guidance across key performance metrics. What's really interesting is obviously the market has been afraid that Fubo is not going to do that well with this new Disney kind of competitor that's coming out in regards to streaming with all these other big people. And Fubo is actually suing them, which I don't think that lawsuit's necessarily going to be the most successful. But that is really exciting that Fubo's going up and the pre-markets off really good growth. I think the street's going to have to figure out, can that growth continue if this Disney-Fox new partnership is successful? 15% right now up for Fubo. DNA Ginkgo Bioworks is down 13%. Look, their numbers just weren't good. They are not growing at the level they were growing at 2 years ago. Market cap $3.2 billion. They do have about $1 billion in cash, but I don't know, dude. If you're buying this thing, you're buying it for the long term. It was interesting to see Kathy did not buy the dip yesterday. Maybe she'll buy it today, but she did not buy Ginkgo on the dip after hours yesterday. So we'll see what she ends up doing. But Ginkgo had their earnings as well. SoundHound, by the way, had earnings. They dropped and they're down 20% after hours. They had phenomenal earnings. I mean, they grew revenue 80%. Now, full year revenue, $45 million, up 45% year over year. Company's valuation is $2 billion. That's probably hard to justify. And that's a lot of the retail momentum that has surged the stock up 250% year to date. But I can't blame the company on their earnings. I mean, they did a really good job. It's just the retail, the street, whoever's buying this thing pumped up the stock pretty high. And as a result of that, it's a little bit pricey right now, or it got a little bit pricey, and that's why it's down about 20%. All right, so Robinhood 1631, and then Palantir 2536 right now, up 1.10% in the pre-markets. Okay, I think it's time to start the announcement. We'll start the announcement now. We are into it. It is. It'll probably take me 5 minutes to even build up to the announcement, so we'll officially say it at 9 a.m. But I will get into it. All right, so. Thank you all for being here from the bottom of my heart. It makes me very, very happy that everyone is here. This is, quite frankly, turned into a dream job for me. And this is, it's one of the things that I can't even, from the bottom of my heart, it means the absolute world that I get to do this every day for all of you, and you guys get some value out of it. So thank you for being here. I have invested in a company. And a lot of people over the past 2 days have been guessing what that company is. I think there are moments in life where you get an opportunity, and sometimes those moments come spontaneously. Sometimes those moments come because you have someone that's looking out for you, and sometimes those moments come, quite frankly, because you're just doing the right thing, and the universe acknowledges that you're doing the right thing. I have had one hell of the past 2 years. I don't have a lot of connections in life. My parents immigrated from India. My mom's been a teacher for the past 20 years. They knew nothing about investing. My dad, he wakes up every morning and he delivers chips all across New Jersey. I'm not talking about semiconductors. I'm talking about Lay's potato chips, right? That's what he does. He drives the trucks. He delivers chips. And so, they came from India. They worked their ass off to give me and my sister a chance to even be here. The fact that I wake up every morning and I don't have to, go on the train to go to some office, and I get to do this, and try to build my career off that, they can't even conceptualize it. My parents raised me to be a good person. My parents raised me to, when I see someone, no matter who they are, whether it's an old man, a pregnant lady, or just a random person, you hold the door open at a store. No matter who they are, you hold the door open, you say thank you, you say hi to the janitor, even if you say hi to the teacher when you're coming into a school, like you treat people with respect. And my mom's philosophy has always been to pay it forward. No matter what, you pay it forward. And when you pay it forward, things happen in life that you really can't explain. When you actually try to be just a good person, things will happen. Case in point, the other day I was at a stop sign. I was in my car, and a homeless person walked up, and they were asking everyone for money, and no one really was opening their window to give them money. I was about to go get something to eat, and in my head, I'm just like, damn it, I can't feed everyone in the world, but if I gave this person some money, would it kill me if I'm about to go get some McDonald's? Like, would it kill me to just open the window and give them some money? I looked at my wallet. I had $5 and $10, and I picked up the $5 for a second. I'm like, who the fuck am I that I can't give $10 to someone who's literally on the street begging for money to probably go get some lunch when I'm about to go get some lunch? And so I'm not saying I'm a saint. I'm not saying I'm going to save the world, but those are the sort of things that my parents instilled in me to do, the things you have to do when no one's looking to actually be a good person. Okay. Having said that, when you do those things, sometimes you get opportunities. I have gotten very close to someone over the past couple of months. You may know this person because he has made an appearance on this channel. In fact, he just gave 50 gifted memberships. Mr. Derek Wall, thank you for the 50 gifted memberships. I've gotten pretty close to him. Dare I say, he has taken me under his wing and essentially become a mentor of mine, which at this stage of my life, at 26 years old, someone who's trying to be very ambitious, someone who's trying to take over the world, I need someone who can be that type of mentor. I consider Chris a mentor as well, right? In the stock market, having someone that can actually be your mentor is a really big deal. Derek, to me, is someone who is the world's greatest entrepreneur / investor, and no one knows about him. As Posting First says in the chat, who's Derek Wall? That's the thing. No one knows who Derek Wall is. This is his LinkedIn right now. I'll put it in the chat. You guys can check him out. And I'll put his Twitter in the chat as well. I believe one day I will be Derek's Walter Isaacson. I've gotten pretty close to this guy. I'm putting his Twitter in the chat right now. And the things that this guy has done over the past 30 years in terms of his entrepreneurial prowess and his investing prowess is pretty incredible. He sold his first company for $8 million, a snowboard manufacturer, when he was 25 years old. After that, he went on to build multiple companies. He also lost a ton of money in terms of his investing career, his entrepreneurship career, and then he had to rebuild his wealth about 2 decades ago. He now runs a company called HubX, which is a massive, massive company doing hundreds of millions of dollars in annual recurring revenue every year. He had a company called Buy.com that was acquired by Rakuten, which is one of the internet's largest companies in Japan. I mean, this is a serial entrepreneur / investor. So why the hell is he talking to me? Right? Why is he even engaging with me? Why am I even bringing him up? Why is he getting 50 fucking gifted memberships in the chat? Apparently, and this is what I mean by paying it forward. This is what I mean by actually like being a good person. You never know who's watching. You really never know who's watching. Just like you never know who you hold the door open for, who that person is. Derek has been consuming my content since 2021. Derek has been consuming my content since I didn't know what a market cap was, right? Like when I was like, oh, what's a market cap? It's the capital of the market. Like what is Washington, D.C.? Is that a capital? Like, well, what's going on here? That was a good joke, by the way. And I just came up with that on the spot. Derek was watching me back then. And apparently he's never stopped watching me, even though I was not the smartest dude 2 years ago. And let's just say he's kind of been encouraged by the level of progress and growth and just like, tenacity I had to like keep going, try to understand the markets. This is a very hard game. Content's an even harder game, in my opinion. Try to meld the both together. And, I think I've been doing okay. And so he's been kind of keeping up with it. Derek one day in January calls me. And I don't even know how he fucking got my number, but he calls me and he's like, "Hey, it's Derek." And I'm like, "Derek?" And he's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Hello, how are you, sir? Like, what's going on?" And he's like, "I have an opportunity for you." And I say, "Okay." And he was like, "It's an investment opportunity." And I'm like, "Okay." And he says, "You know what? I've been consuming your content for a long time. I think there's a really big deal that I'm going to do." He's gone through hundreds and thousands of deals. He's a very big venture capitalist, along with being an investor and an entrepreneur. And he said, "Well, I want you to be in this deal." And I said, "What's the deal?" And he told me the deal. And I said, "I am in the deal." Ladies and gentlemen, I am excited to announce, because of Mr. Derek Wall, somehow, some way, I have got an allocation in the Series B financing of Figure.ai, and I am investing with Microsoft, OpenAI, NVIDIA, Jeff Bezos, and Intel for $675 million at a $2.6 billion valuation for Figure.ai, Brett Adcock's new company. This is the most insane investment I have ever made in my life. This is the craziest thing that has ever happened to me. I am a kid from New Jersey who went to a fucking state school. My parents are immigrants. They knew nothing about the stock market. My mom just set up a Roth IRA for the first time at 53 years old. There is no reason I should have an investment in a company that, quite frankly, I think will be the greatest investment I have ever made of all time, because this is a multi-trillion-dollar TAM. Robotics is the next evolution of artificial intelligence. We've trained text. We've trained video. The next evolution, which is what Jensen Huang said 2 weeks ago in the Wired magazine interview, is robotics. NVIDIA is investing. OpenAI is investing. Microsoft is investing. Bezos is investing. All of these guys are investing for a reason. And I think the primary reason is like, look, they don't know if this thing's going to be what we think it could be. But if it is what we think it could be, it is going to be one of the largest companies on planet Earth, because it is officially going after the largest TAM on planet Earth, which is global GDP of labor workforce. That's a $100 trillion market. 50% of that would be the TAM for a company like Figure, for a product like Tesla's Optimus. And that's the biggest TAM that a company has ever gone after. So this is the investment that I've made. And it's a decent investment for me. It's pretty cool that at 26 years old, I get to be in this deal. Now, Derek had to go through a lot to get me into this deal. This was not an easy thing for Derek to do. He had to call up people. He had to talk to different, like, getting into one of these types of deals. You can't just say, "Oh, here's my money, put me in." I mean, you have to really talk to like that guy who's controlling this part of the thing. Then you got these people here, these people here. I mean, this is a oversubscribed round. A lot of people wanted to get into this deal. So to even allow me the tiny allocation I get to be able to put my money inside of there, it's not an easy thing to do. And Derek worked his ass off. I mean, he worked his ass off. And quite frankly, what was really surprising about this, guys, is like, I didn't think it would happen. He talked to me about this in early January. He's like, "I think I want to get you into the Figure deal." And I'm like, "Look, Derek, this is amazing, but I've been given, people have promised things to me before in the past, and like, it is what it is. Until the money is gone from your account, until the contracts are signed, nothing's real." And I've learned that the hard way many times. I'm sure people in the chat have heard that in the chat. Derek says it was oversubscribed by billions. It was oversubscribed by billions, and somehow I got in. And so to me, I didn't really think Derek would come through. Not because I didn't trust Derek. I just didn't know Derek. This is a random dude who calls you up and he's like, "Hey, I'm going to get you in this deal, the biggest fucking deal of all time." And I'm just like, "Okay, like, thanks." And then 2 weeks go by and I don't hear from Derek. 2 weeks go by and I don't hear from Derek. And in my head, I don't hit him up. I don't text him like, "Yo, what's going on? Like, can you get me into the deal?" To me, I'm just like, look, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. If it happens, I will be eternally grateful. But I'm not going to badger this guy who's, his hour is worth more than a lot of people's hours combined, just because he's doing really high level shit. He's a CEO right now. He's not just an investor. He actually runs a big company. And so I'm not going to badger him to try to get me into this deal, because quite frankly, it's not worth his time. And then the day Robinhood spikes after earnings, and I'm like managing the stream, and this is actually Valentine's Day. During the middle of the stream, he texts me. He says, "Yo, I think I can get you into the deal." And like I hadn't heard it from him in 2 weeks. I haven't heard from this guy in 2 weeks, and on Valentine's Day, he's like, "I think I can get you into the deal." And then as soon as I end the stream, I call him up and I'm like, "What's going on?" He's like, "All right, you got to call this person, this person, this person. You got to sign XYZ. You got to do blah 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 blah, and then maybe you can get into the deal." And so Philip says, "Is anyone else hard right now?" Yes, I'm dude, this past month has been kind of euphoric, and I really don't want to sound like this is bragging or anything like that. This is one of those things where it's just like, I'm very transparent with you guys. You guys know all my investments. You guys know what I'm doing in life. You guys are kind of watching this entire journey. You guys are the reason I'm here. And it's just been a hell of a journey that someone who graduated a state school and is not working at fucking JP Morgan. I don't have a dad who's, connected with the Stanford professors. I'm just the kid in his room who's using my raw fucking communication skills that my mom continuously told me to just like keep working at it, keep doing you, keep being you. You're going to figure it out. You're going to do what you want to do. Just trust in yourself. Never for 1 second told me to doubt myself. When you have those types of parents and then you get this type of opportunity, it kind of feels like sometimes things just happen and you got to take advantage of those opportunities. And maybe they happen because you just kept trying and you just kept working. And so when he called me 2 weeks after not hearing from him on Valentine's Day, and he said, "All right, this is the time. I'm getting you in this deal. The deal's closing in 2 days. So you got to get the money and wire it tomorrow." We got the job done and we were able to make it happen. So really, really excited. Do you guys want me to call Derek? I can call him. And if he's available, let's see, for 2 minutes, I can ask him what he thinks about this. Let me know. It was really, really hard for him to get into this deal, but for him to get me into this deal, but we did it. All right, you guys are saying call him. All right, let's give him a call. Derek, let's see if you pick up, and let's see what he has to say. His voice is really nice too.
All right, let's give him a call.
All right, Derek. Mr. Derek, you are live with 1,300 people. I have a couple questions for you. Number one, why did you work your butt off to get me into one of the greatest investment opportunities of all time?
Hi guys, hi everyone. Wow. So a couple years ago, when I ran into your video, I literally laughed. You guys didn't know what you were talking about, and to see you blossom over the last couple years, it just showed me your tenacity, your compassion, and I think life in general is about not what you know, but who you know, and you're a very special person. So I took it upon myself to, try to mentor people that really would suck it in like a sponge, and you're that. So
Derek, you are someone that basically is taking me under your wing, and you're really mentoring me on not just business but life. You're someone who buys your valet's coffee. You're someone who actually is a nice human being, even though obviously you've done very well in life. Like, you buy people food. Like, you're a good fucking human being. Why are you doing this for someone on YouTube? I know you've said that, like, yeah, I've seen your progression and all this stuff, but what is the motivation to get someone into a deal that, I mean, Derek, if this company, just letting the audience know, if this company goes to $1 trillion, this whatever money I put in, right, 50, 100,000, it turns into a lot of money. Why are you allowing that opportunity to happen?
So when I was 22 or 23, someone, let's see here. I don't want to expose anyone. Someone took me under their wing, who was the founder of a major airline. And when I was 23, I was just this radical kid that wanted to change the world. And he set the stones for me for the last 40 years. He's over 90 years old now. He met with me 3 or 4 times a year. At that time, I was CEO and founder of a snowboard company. And this is when snowboard wasn't even legal on mountains. And he put me underneath his wing. He opened the doors. He showed me what to do, not to do. And he made me promise him one thing, and that was pay it forward. So my life went through some radical things. I've done some awesome things. I've lost it all, I've made it all. I've lost it all, I've made it all. And I think through that time, over the last couple of decades of my life, that my purpose in those words to him of agreeing, of paying it forward, I wasn't living that life. So over the last probably 15 years or 10 years now, I pay forward. I don't think material things are anything. Over the last couple of years, my intent in life is to foster and bless people, but more importantly, I make them like I made you. You're going to pay it forward someday. You have all the makings of being a great, incredible man and human on this planet with integrity and love, and that is very rare. And so you stick out like a sore thumb. So pay it forward, buddy. Pay it forward.
Leslie Clark says, everyone needs a mentor. Thanks, Derek, for doing this amid. I cannot say how grateful I am. I mean, this is just this is kind of a dream, having someone actually care about me enough in the chat. A lot of people are saying they're gonna cry. Kelly says they're gonna cry. Derek, let me get you for 5 more minutes. Let's talk about the deal itself. This is one of the biggest deals you've ever invested in. You've seen thousands of deals your entire life. You've decided to, invest in this company and really advocate for it. Why?
Yeah, so my family and friends always call me a sucker. Meaning this is that I kind of I write checks and put them in a lot of deals. And my theory is that I invest in great leaders and teams, not the principle of the product, because great companies will pivot. There's many stories around many companies that have pivoted and become great companies, and I can't think of a few. I mean, I think you look at Amazon selling books is one of them, and then they become this master juggernaut of a $1 trillion company.
Yep.
But more importantly, I'm sorry, what was the question again? Sorry.
The question is, why Figure? Why are you investing? You've invested in so many deals. Why Figure?
Sorry. So I throw a little here, chips in here. And Figure came to me about 1.5 years ago. And obviously we know robotics and AI is going to change the world. And I was in the deal before Figure and Brett's. I was investor in Archer. And so I was familiar with this idea. The TAM was enormous, and I don't think people realize this. And people might laugh like, "Hey, Optimus is going to take the world." And you guys, mind you, I am a crazy Tesla investor. Been around since the very beginning. I own a lot of Tesla, and I love Tesla. However, the TAM is so big. People don't realize this is that AI robotics literally is 50% of global GDP. Global GDP is $80 trillion. Humanoids is going to make up 50%. It's $42 trillion of workforce.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So just put in perspective in everyone's mind is that 1 million robots is $1 trillion a year in reoccurring revenue for humanoids. We've gone from 50 years ago, there was no such thing as NASDAQ. Then we got into the internet. Well, I grew up in San Jose, and my dad was in the semiconductor industry. So I went through the technical semiconductor industry, which is, today, semiconductors. Then it went through the internet. Then we got into this quasi mobile. Now in the last year we hit AI, and the next step is revolution is robotics. And so what's going to happen is that these companies like Figure, who can ship, millions of units, that's trillions of dollars a year in recurring revenue. You think that Nvidia at a $40 billion net income on an annual basis, companies like Figure will their net earnings will be hundreds of billions a quarter. So it's the next leg up. It's like taking 7 of the magnificent 7 times 5. So when I got this opportunity and it passed the red flags, and this is where I was saying I invest in a lot of deals, and if something comes to fruition, like wow, then I am comfortable in spreading the word to my friends and family. And out of every deal that I've ever seen in the last 30 years, this is the biggest, most precious deal I've ever come across.
Why? Is that the TAM or the leadership? Why is it the most precious deal? Because that's a hell of a thing to say for someone like you.
So I invested in Figure when it was a team of 16. Brett would literally launched it out of WeWork. But Brett hired the best 16 guys out of Tesla, Google DeepMind, NVIDIA, Apple, blah, blah, blah. And he had this deck. And hopefully I'll be able to share it with everyone after it goes public, because we can't do that. But it was just an idea. But the idea was so fucking enormous that I threw my chips in. Okay, so speed 8 months later, I get an email and I see NVIDIA. I see Jeff Bezos. I see Amazon. I see Microsoft. I'm like, what the? And I see OpenAI. So the predecessor of what we've seen from what it is baked, it's the future, bro. And I had tears last night when you have deals that you put your blood, sweat, and tears and you believe in it. And I saw Elon Musk said, bring it. It's like, wow.
Yeah, give me your thoughts on that. This morning, Elon Musk says, bring it on to Brett. I mean, how do you think Elon's even thinking about this now? What are the implications on Tesla? Because you're obviously a big Tesla shareholder as well. What do you think it will be in the future?
You know, a couple things. When you create something like a category, this is a category creator. You want everyone to succeed. I'll bring it back to the snowboard days. We were the first snowboard manufacturer and brand. And I helped every single my competitors. I wanted them to beat them, but I wanted to help them. And I think this is going to be the same thing as what Elon did with cars and electricity is you have to, if he can get the street, if he can get the street to believe in Figure and create this camaraderie, you know, I'm going to kill you, la, 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 then people start doing the math. If Wall Street's sleeping, okay, they're fucking sleeping. Elon has the product. They have Optimus. It is brilliant. If they just did the math, 1 million robots. I mean, Figure Tesla shipped 2 million cars last year. This dwarfs cars. This isn't robo taxis. Tesla is an AI robotics company. If they did the math, 1 million robots times $90,000 or $80,000 that is used in a home in Europe, it's trillions of dollars. Wall Street's sleeping. So I'm excited. I think that was checkbox, like validation. We invested in potentially one of the biggest companies in the world. And we have this, we have every single major company backing them. And I'm elated. And I'm so happy that you were able to get involved. And I'm so proud of you, bro. I'm more proud of you than I've ever been in anyone in my life. You are a fucking sponge. And you are brilliant, and I hope and I see some great success in your future. It's going to be awesome to watch you blossom, learn, and I think that over the last couple of weeks, I'll say this, and no one knows this, but Amit invested in another AI robotic company, which will
Derek's throwing me deals left and right. He's like, all right, Amit, you're becoming a VC.
So now that you're credible and people, it's all about Rolodex. So I'm so excited for you, and I'm hopeful that this whole community will be able to I've seen stuff where if creators create their own, firms, investment firms, and special special purpose vehicles, and this whole community could be a real awesome, investment community as well. And this is behind the scenes, guys. And I think Amit could be the champion of this over the next decades, and really build a brand around what he's doing. But more importantly, giving back to the community. And I think that's where this is all going to go. I really believe that with all my heart.
The crazy thing, these memberships, guys. One day I called Derek. I'm like, dude, why do you keep giving these 50 memberships? Like, you don't have to keep doing that.
You guys, yeah. Can I say?
Go ahead.
I read shit in there. You guys are like, fucking swinging your dick, Derek. No, you know why I'm giving this? I'm only contributing money to this community so you fucking renew at the end of the month. Okay, but I'm doing it to help build Amit's community. So,
and see, I didn't even realize that. One day he called me and I was like, why do you keep giving memberships? And he was like, because it renews at the end of the month, right? I was like, yeah. He's like, so people have an incentive if they've been a member for a month to renew. It helps your channel. And I was like, oh, so you're being very calculated. You're not just, as you said, swinging your dick around. You're actually trying to get people to care, you know? And I think that's the thing about you, is that you're incredibly calculated about these decisions you make. And that's where the figure due diligence comes in as well, in terms of, you know, your prowess as someone who's 53, looking at the world and seeing where the world's going, and seeing that figure is going to play a big role here.
Yeah.
Let me ask you one more quick question, Derek. Some people have said, and even some people in the chat I see, Brett gives them Trevor Milton vibes. You've personally spoken with Brett. You know who Brett is. What would you say against that?
I laugh. So you guys, here's the deal. When you have confidence, it sometimes throws the perception of who you are on. I'm like that too. I am a go-getter. I want to change the world, and Brett has sentiments of that. However, if you read, one of my friends posted, and pull that text that you sent me this morning in regards to, what's his name, investing 700 deals.
Jeff. Okay, got you.
Yeah. So I just want to say a couple things. Brett was the founder of Federy, a marketplace, insane. He sold to Deco Group, which is the largest. It is the largest
HR company,
recruiting company in the world. And then he literally. So I just want everyone to know this. He literally took $100 million that he made from that deal and threw it into Archer. Every single penny, guys. And he had an idea about flying taxis, which Archer, I will say this to you guys, Archer will be the largest. It will be Uber for air. It's the 50-mile, it's the 30 to 50-mile transit. So you'll be able to jump on an electric autonomous plane, which and fly from like Southern California to LA for dinner and fly back, instead of driving 3 hours in traffic, or from New Jersey to downtown in New York. That Archer did deals. Archer investors are Boeing, American Airlines. NASA just placed an order. Boeing just placed an order. American Airlines. It's massive. He put every fucking penny. He's like Elon Musk. He went all in. Okay, him and his partner, who's a co-founder, started the company together. When Brett saw that he wanted to extend his career in robotics, he literally sold everything he had in Archer. Yep. His partner took over as CEO. There's no weirdness. And he took every penny he made and less. He still has the money that he put in Archer. Wasn't even able to take all of it. He took every single penny and he invested, guys. Every single penny. His wife was freaking. He put over $100 million into Figure, where they were living in an apartment in Palo Alto. He's all, babe, this is going to work. This guy goes all fucking in, okay? Just like Elon Musk. He is not there's no way, if you look at past, present is the future, and this guy he's going to change the world.
We're looking at Jeff's tweet right now. Jeff says, this is the only company I can say out of our 700 deals that this could be $1 trillion outcome. Why do you think Jeff saying this really matters as well for Figure?
One is Jeff is one of the most credible VC companies in the world. Secondly is the TAM, and he was involved in Federy. He was involved in Archer, and there's so much shit going out there saying, "Oh, this guy's, he took a company, he raised it," and bro, every single company that's labor, like the cap on these hardware companies are enormous. They burn so much money. Look at Tesla for fucking 20 years, burned billions of dollars, and people are using that because Archer's market cap's at 1.6 billion, not 2.6 billion. It's crazy, and it drives me nuts. I can't even go on X and even follow people. I just want to just block them all. But he's saying that because he knows who Brett is. It's like there's no vaporware. He's going to change the world. And I will tell you this, everyone. If you look on, and I'm not telling you, there's so much information that Amit and I know about Figure we can't disclose. Okay, it's going to rock the fucking world. This announcement's nothing. But I'll tell you this, if you look on Figure's homepage, on their employees, 40 of the most brilliant people from Boston Dynamics left. Yep. All the Tesla AI people left. Google DeepMind left. People left from OpenAI to Figure. People left like, it's like, are you kidding me? Smart people follow smart people, right? Trevor Milton never had this ever. And so that's my take on that. It's almost a slap in the face, and more importantly, everyone has their opinions about it. Yes, I'm pro because I'm an investor in it, but you know what though? I will tell you this. I'm an investor in Tesla, and I think Elon just needs to shut his fucking mouth up, right? It's deteriorating the brand. It's and I'll say shit if something happens with Figure. But at this point in time, it's so, this announcement yesterday with the valuation of Figure probably at $10 billion. It's that big.
This is one of the most exciting things that has happened in my entire life. Derek, I'll let you get
Sorry,
out of here.
guys, I'll let your community go. I know this has nothing to do with them, but the moral of the story is this, guys. I'm going to make a MIT pay it forward, and this community is going to feel the repercussions of that. I have some ideas about how this can go down, and I think if we do it right, this is going to be an awesome platform and community. Now I'm here to support you guys. Reach out to me. I'm here to whatever. Someone said,
does Derek welcome LinkedIn connections? Should people connect with you? Is that okay? Can people?
Yeah, please do.
All right, there you go. I'll put his LinkedIn in the chat. Derek, I can't thank you enough. 1,500 people here. You're getting a lot of love in the chat. People are thanking you so much for doing this for me, because obviously they're really.
Are they calling me a Trevor Milton?
No, dude, this is a big deal. Nvidia, Microsoft, Amazon, Bezos, they don't invest in something that they don't think has a chance. Will it work? We don't know. That's the whole point of investing in a startup. But to say that this doesn't have a chance, I think is not really looking at the opportunity here. And the fact that I'm in it, man, I wake up every day just being like, I cannot believe that this is happening. But thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Yeah,
it means the world to me. It means to me a lot to the community. Thank you, Derek.
Thanks, guys. Have a good day, everyone.
All right, bye-bye. All right, so that was the announcement. It happened, folks. Figure investor officially. First VC deal of my life. Had to do a lot of shit to get that deal. Thank you for everyone in the chat. There's a lot of love. People are just really happy. I appreciate it as well. Will this work? I have no clue. Will the money turn into more money? Who knows? But this is something we're not selling for ever, dude. I mean, like, if this works, there's going to be tens and tens of millions out of a multi-$1,000 investment that happens because you're investing at a very early stage. And now we just got to see if it happens. So we'll see. Super excited. Super fucking grateful. We got the market open in 2 minutes. It's, again, in life, sometimes you get these opportunities, and when you get them, like, as soon as he mentioned it, I was just like, yeah, I want in, but I don't know if he's going to be able to figure out a way to get me in. And somehow he figured it out. So whatever opinion you have on Derek, I know he said Elon needs to shut up. Some of you guys might not like him for that. At the end of the day, the dude is a rock star entrepreneur, a rock star VC. And for somehow he got me into the deal. So super excited to be in it. And now the fun thing is, guys, I will get to be annoying you with humanoid robotics due diligence. His LinkedIn, I'm putting in the chat right now, and his Twitter, till I die. Because I'm going to be invested in this thing till it goes public one day. If it goes public, we'll see if that happens. And I'll basically be getting to talk about humanoids forever. Because now I'm an investor in humanoid robotics. So that's like, but no, honestly, the DD that I've done, because I did a good amount of DD before I got into the deal. It's pretty insane. It is pretty insane. This is one of those companies that's like, look, I don't know if Figure's going to work, but this will happen. Commercial robotics will happen. It's just going to be a question of if it's Figure, if it's Tesla, maybe it's both. And if it is Figure at $2 billion right now, I think it's worth a lot more than $2 billion in the future. If not, we'll see what happens. But it's an awesome journey to be part of it. 9:30 a.m. Friday, March 1st. Thank you, everybody, for being here. The stock market is now open. Wake your asses up. Here we go. Okay. Palantir, 25.24, opens up 0.74% on the day. Not bad. We're seeing Palantir have a lot more momentum, closing above that $24 range. What's going to be really interesting about today is that S&P announcement, and to see if that actually happens. Even if the rebalancing happens in a couple of weeks, the announcement hopefully should happen today after hours, and I'll keep an update on that and let you guys know. SMCI up 2%. CleanSpark basically flat, down about 0.6% on the day. It fell about 15% yesterday, so it's flat today. Marathon recovering about 2% today. They were down about 16% yesterday. IWM is green. Small caps might be breaking out just a little bit. We got some really good PCE data that came in yesterday. 2.8% was in line with expectations, so that was good. Robinhood, $16.40. They are up 0.57%. 7%. A lot of news happened this week in terms of Robinhood. Their Ethereum collaborations that they're doing with new decentralized wallets, their new plan to let independent contractors be able to join retirement for retirement options in terms of their 401k, Roth IRA. So really exciting stuff we're seeing from Robinhood. And obviously Bitcoin doing well is great for Robinhood. NVIDIA $7.99, AMD. I don't know why AMD's up 12%. It's up another 2% today, but it is. I feel like AMD is getting a little stretched right now, but it is what it is. Maybe AMD is on the trajectory of what NVIDIA might end up be like, and what NVIDIA was over the past couple of years if they have that type of growth. I don't think the number is necessarily justified, but maybe the market's trying to get exposure outside of NVIDIA. TFC up about 0.75% or 0.57%. NYCB, New York Community Bank, they are down 29%. The reason they are down is because they disclosed material disclosures of problems in their loan book yesterday. They said this yesterday, and that's why NYCB is down. I don't think it's going to have a broader impact on the entire regional banking sector, but it is something that is bad for NYCB. And look, what's his name? Jay Powell said some companies have to die. Maybe NYCB has to die, get consumed by a different bank. He said consolidate, not really die, but I'll say die. And if that happens, then we're going to see some more consolidation in the regional banking sector. Dell is up 34%. Now, I know a lot of you are probably wondering, how the hell is Dell, which is this legacy manufacturing company? I mean, I don't even know if people really, I'm sure people use Dell computers, but a lot of people, have moved on to different types of PCs. There's so much different competition. How is this company up 33%? They have pseudo turned into an SMCI competitor in terms of the servers they're creating for these GPUs. And as a result, last night they were up 16%. They're up another 16% this morning, up 34% for the day. The market might be interpreting a $90 billion company, which is Dell. By the way, SMCI only $45 billion, and SMCI also hardware margins. It's not like they have software margins, as a competitor to SMCI. And if that's the case, maybe Dell puts its hat in the ring in regards to the semiconductor race that's going on. And maybe that's one of the cheaper companies that exists in the semis industry. So I'm doing a lot more due diligence on Dell, but that report was really exciting and got a lot of people interested in what they're thinking about Dell and what would happen. Palantir 25.26 right now, Robinhood 16.34. Let's look at crypto companies right now. Crypto, we are at pretty much red across the board. Obviously, they've run up a lot. Bitcoin 62,000, Ethereum 3,400. Marathon is up, but everything else, MicroStrategy, Bitfarms, Robinhood, IREN, Hut, CleanSpark, and Coinbase are red on the day, even if they're not red that much. Now, here's an interesting stat for you. Bitcoin's IBIT, BlackRock's IBIT, which is the Bitcoin ETF, has officially passed $10 billion in AUM. This is the fastest an ETF has hit 10 billion in assets under management at 37 trading days. Just 4% of all ETFs have reached the $10 billion mark. I mean, think about that. Just 4% of all ETFs in the history of the markets have reached $10 billion under management. Right now, this is the supply shock we're seeing in regards to Bitcoin. Yesterday, Bitcoin ETFs bought 11,215 Bitcoin. The miners mined 900, and in 48 days, they're going to only be mining 450 after the halving event. I think that's why we've seen the massive amount of demand pour into Bitcoin in terms of the ETFs having to buy Bitcoin due to their inflows versus the small amounts of outflows. Now, GBTC had 600 million leave yesterday, but that wasn't even enough to get Bitcoin to have a red day in terms of net inflows from the ETFs, because 600 million left and a couple billion came in. So it's really exciting to see the ETFs and the implications on these ETFs. Palantir is moving. Whoa, buddy. Palantir hit 25.69. That's a new 52-week high. That's a new 52-week high today. There we go. A new 52-week high on Palantir. Let's see if it can keep going. This might be because of the potential S&P announcement that is happening today. Volume's at 7 million. Volume's not crazy, but it's more than like 4 million that was at this time around Wednesday. So volume has doubled in the past couple of days right now, and it's at 25.52. Either the street is expecting S&P inclusion is coming, or the street's, just generally kind of looking for an AI play, and maybe Palantir is the company that the street wants to get into. NYCB down 27%, Dell up 31%, a SoundHound down 16%. Again, SoundHound, phenomenal earnings, like really, really good earnings that SoundHound had. The only problem is SoundHound, they've gone up 300%. So at some point, it just can't keep going up. But their earnings up 80% year over year in terms of their quarterly growth. Not bad at all. Palantir 25.61. Look at that. Look at that. 25.61 on Palantir. This is a new 52-week high. and it's stuck there. Let me check the order flow right now. Let's see what's coming in on Palantir. The wall yesterday was 25.45, by the way. That wall seems to have been broken. That wall was pretty high. There's about like 60, 70,000 shares there. Right now, the next biggest wall that I can see, I don't see a big wall at all. I mean, the next big wall is at like, yeah, there's not, from the sell side, at least, my data is not like the full picture, but I don't see a big sell wall. There's like 20,000 shares at $26, which is nothing, quite frankly. So if this thing wants to run, I mean, it might run. Now, there might be a ton more sellers than buyers, and even if it's not a big wall, it just might be people that tend to sell it off. But this thing could run 25.53. Bloomberg did a whole article on Palantir yesterday, and that article was basically around AI warfare. That was like a 20-minute article if you read it. So we are getting some press. Dell up now 30%. Snowflake recovering a little bit. They were down from 230. Now they're at 190. They bottomed at about 184. Now at 190. $62 billion market cap for Snowflake. $55 billion market cap for Palantir. Celsius is up another 4%. Holy crap, dude. Wow. Oh my God, dude. Oh my goodness. Celsius is up another 4%. That means Celsius is basically up 26% in 24 hours. Dude, if you've got Celsius, congrats. I mean, congrats. Celsius was this was a company that was deemed as massively overvalued by a lot of analysts, and they put up the growth in the streets like, you know what? Not a lot of things are growing at 95% year over year that are also profitable. Not a lot of things have influencers wrapped around their fingers in terms of everyone who wants to drink this damn drink. Celsius does. And so there you go. You got Celsius at 84.73. Shout out to Chris. I mean, he was screaming about it for a couple weeks here on Celsius, as was the chat. So I'm happy everyone got this deal. Clean Spark right now, where's CLSK? 1586. They're down about 5.4%. That makes sense. Again, guys, this is at $6 in January. It makes sense that it's taking a little bit of a breather. I think Clean Spark will be fine, but obviously Bitcoin has to keep doing what it has to do in order for that to happen. MicroStrategy at under 1,000 right now. It is up, about 30% this week as well. So we'll see the volatility in there continue to happen. Chris says seed money for Chris Patil Capital LLC ETF launch acquired. Put in the chat if you would invest in Chris's ETF. Put in the chat. Let's do a little social experiment. If Chris launched an ETF today, would you invest in it? I want to know. Let's see what people say. I would invest in it, dude. I would take as much money as I put into Figure, and I would say, here, Chris, fucking do something with this. Turn it into more money, please. Please turn it into more money. Stop Console War says, breaking news, Palantir is up on the day after news of one of its main investors Amit becoming an early investor with Figure AI. Yes, if you guys are just joining, the announcement today was that I invested in Figure AI, courtesy of Derek Wall, someone who's become a real big mentor of mine, and gave me the opportunity to have a small allocation in a $675 million raise from Brett Adcock at Figure. And Elon Musk today said, bring it on in terms of the competition. If you saw the thumbnail, Elon said, bring it on. He is ready to compete. And it's really exciting to see these guys go at it over the next 10 years. Someone's going to win, and maybe both are going to win, but we're going to be along for the journey. Okay, pretty much everyone says they're going to invest in Chris's ETF. So, Chris, we got to get the ETF rolling. Tanner in the chat, thank you for being here. Amit, just seeing this. Congratulations, man. That is huge. Robotics will be the largest shift in markets, potentially larger than the internet. I agree. And, it took me a couple of weeks. Thank you, Tanner, for that. It means the world to me. It took me a while to also wrap my head around the TAM. Like every day, Derek would call me while we were doing due diligence, or at least I was doing due diligence because he had already invested. And he was like, you need to research the TAM. You need to understand what this market is. Everyone thinks, oh, it's going to replace jobs. It's not about replacing jobs. It's about the fact that we don't have enough jobs for global GDP labor forces. Like we don't have enough people to do the things that they're doing. Figure has publicly announced they're working with BMW. Those are hard jobs, making cars, doing really complicated shit that you have to pay employees for, overtime. They have to take breaks. They don't want to do it. The churn is over 100%. So people don't want to do these jobs. They're kind of forced to do it because they don't really, have the other opportunities. And so if you could automate that, not only would that create massive levels of earnings and just safer human beings, it brings up the existential question of what will those people do if they're displaced from those jobs, which the government, humanity, we're going to have to come to a conclusion to. We're just not going to let those people just not do anything, right? There's going to have to be a way to resolve that. But before that even happens, which I think maybe it happens in 20, 30 years, we need to get those jobs fulfilled in the first place. It's no doubt that we are starting to see the signs of a bit of a population crisis, and that's not a conspiracy theory. If you look at any of the global data that is coming out, especially around Japan, people are just not making as many more babies as they wanted to in the past. And Elon's been saying this for a while. And as a result of that, you're not going to have people that wake up in 20, 30 years that have been growing up with the internet that say, yeah, I want to work in a factory and do hard manual labor. Like the kids of today that are growing up with technology, Celsius up 30%, they're not going to want to do that. And if they're not going to want to do that, you're going to need something to automate that. You're going to need something to allow companies to still be able to grow. And that might end up being Figure. Palantir falls right below 25 down. So there was a big sell side pressure that came in at 25.70. That was the top right now, 25.69. So it fell right there. Maybe that buy side pressure came in because they were thinking about S&P inclusion, but obviously people took some profits right there. And it came down. What is Figure's ticker? Figure is not public. Figure is a private company. That's kind of why this is, I think, one of the biggest investments in my life, because it's just hard to get access to these types of deals, guys. You got to know somebody. And and I hope one day, I can bring access to these types of deals to people in my life, because it's just hard. My parents, when I told them, they didn't fucking believe it. They were just like, who's this guy? He's a scam. You're getting scammed. Like it's like typical Indian parents. They were just like, what are you talking about? Why is this guy? And I'm like, no, you guys have to sit down. I have to wire the money tomorrow. I'm telling you guys because I'm doing this, but you have to believe me. And then it took them a couple of days, but then my dad, what's funny about it, my mom was a bit more skeptical than my dad. You know why? As Derek says, pay it forward right here. My mom was more skeptical than my dad. You want to know my dad wasn't that skeptical? My dad watches Shark Tank every fucking night. Not American Shark Tank, Indian Shark Tank. My dad, for 2 hours, he comes home from work, he turns on Indian Shark Tank. And so when I said, Dad, so I'm investing in this company, I'm going to put my money in, and if the company goes to XYZ level of valuation, the money becomes really big, right? Because it's a startup. There's like 1,000, 2,000x return we're talking about if this works out. And my dad was like, can you put in even more money? My dad was like, can you sell some other stocks and like put in even more money? I was like, no, Dad, like I can barely get into the round. This is all I can invest. He was like, put whatever you got into this. Like my dad, who's the most indecisive human being. My dad is the most risk averse person in the world. My dad was like, fuck it. Put as much money as you fucking can. It was hilarious to see that happen, dude. My mom was like, are you sure? My dad's like, put in more. And because my dad works his ass off every morning, and then he comes home and he sees these fucking dudes on Shark Tank get $30 million for 10% or whatever. And my dad's like, I just worked my ass off, backbreaking work for 10 hours. And these motherfuckers are getting $30,000, $40,000 just for like presenting an argument, right? So to my dad, he understands the value of like a startup and investing in it, even though my dad really is not that educated on broader finance. But because he watches Shark Tank, he knows what it means if you invest early in a company. SoFi down about 1.71%. And so my dad was like, dude, I don't know who this Derek guy is, but put in as much money as you can. And so it was really fun to see that dichotomy of my dad versus my mom in this situation. My sister definitely thought it was a scam. My sister was like, who the fuck is Derek Wall? I was like, okay, so Derek Wall is an entrepreneur. She's like, pull up Google. Where's this article? I was like, I need to see him on Google. I was like, why is Google the barometer of truth, by the way? Like, well, like, given what's going on. She's like, I need to see that. Like, my sister was so skeptical. But this is the thing. Like, when you're early in a company, when these deals happen, sometimes people don't believe it. It's hard for them to even wrap their head around. It took me a couple of weeks to even believe I was in the deal. And then I got the email yesterday that the deal, obviously, Brett tweeted it. It closed, and my money was in, and it's happening. So it'll be really fun. It'll be really fun to see how this kind of all plays out. Beto is flat on the day. Google 138. Kava down a little bit. Palo Alto down about 2%. Oh, what's his name? Had earnings. Zscaler right now 217. Wow, they got schmacked. Zscaler, in my opinion, is Palo Alto falling 30%. They do not deserve, guys. They're going 35% year over year. They're $28 million away from profitability. I mean, Zscaler, to me, I don't know everything about their business. I'm not buying this company. I don't know about them that well, but 35% year-over-year growth is nothing to scoff at. They're going to be profitable probably in 2 quarters. So very weird that these guys took a bit of a tumble. Fubo as well lost all of its gains. Wow. Fubo lost all of its gains. There you go. So Fubo lost its gains, and that is down. SMCI, wow. SMCI is up 3%. I think SMCI is up because AMD is up. The broader sector is waking up. SMH, that ETF I told you guys about of semis, that one's up. Look at that, 215 of 1.43%. This thing is up almost 30% year to date. Wow. NYCB is halted. NYCB is halted. Okay, so that means there's a bit of volume probably to the downside happening on NYCB. Snowflake is up. Investors are buying the dip. SMCI $900. Robinhood $16.29. Nvidia crossing $800 again. AMD touched 200 now at 197. TFC and KRE are falling. All the banks are down today because of this NYCB news. I think if NYCB gets eaten up, yeah, KRE down 2%. That's not good. That's okay, right? The broader market has to consolidate when it comes to banks. We don't need 4,000 banks, but I mean, it does suck that it's happening for regionals. If you're in regionals right now, like me, I'm still up on my TFC because I got in at like $28, but it's going to take a while until we get rates cuts, because rate cuts are going to be what helps regional banks finally get back to the levels they were at a couple years ago. And even then, it's going to take some while. So that's why I rolled my 2025 calls to 2026 for TFC. I had a feeling, dude. I was like, I do not want to let this year be the last year I'm sitting on those options. Let's roll them out to 2026 and give them some time. Ethereum is up 1.18%. ETH 29.24. Square down about 1%. Berkshire 409. They were at 420 in the beginning of the week. They're down. QQQ all-time high is 440. So QQQ's up, and then the S&P is 509. Look at that. The S&P is at all-time highs again after falling to like 503. Incredible. 94 Clip says that Derek guy somewhere's on the beach with a Corona. You know the crazy thing, guys? Derek's a CEO right now. He's running a really big fucking company. Like yesterday, he called me. There was some crazy shit. Oh, the camera turned off. Some crazy shit's happening at his company. He's dealing with a ton of random, just like entrepreneur, CEO shit, like fires. You have to figure that shit out. This guy's 53 and he's still working, which is the craziest thing to me. Like, I don't even know how he still has the motivation after the success he's had to keep working. Like, he's excited about this deal. Like, I'm excited about this deal. Like, this is my first, venture deal ever. This is like his 1,000th or whatever. But he's excited about it, like a kid in a candy shop. And that's why I think both of us kind of have been bonding over it, because it's like, it's fun. It's fun. It's my first deal, his 1,000th deal, but it's still exciting, to be there. Thomas says, did you hear about the leaked email admitting to effing up the CPI numbers on the last report? No, I didn't. Can you show me the link in the chat? I know we have PMI data coming out in about 10 minutes, but I didn't hear about that email. Put it in the chat if you have the link to that, and I'll take a look at what that has to say. Okay, so let's get an update on this. Elon Musk is suing OpenAI. Let's get an update here. This is the big news of the morning as well, and let's see why the hell Elon is suing these guys. Here we go.
Founding agreement by putting profit ahead of benefiting humanity. Joining us right now is CNBC technology correspondent Steve Kovac. We've been going through the lawsuit.
Wild.
It is wild to see. It also is wild because we're talking about what the outcome of this case could be. It's unique in that Elon Musk is one of the few people who actually has standing in some ways to bring a case like this.
Right.
But then you have to think about what the quote unquote damages are, if you will, if you're a judge. He is seeking to open up AI or open up OpenAI so that it is effectively truly an open source situation.
And to stop Microsoft from using it.
And to stop Microsoft from using it. The question is whether a judge would stop that, or a judge would say, we'll give you back your $50 million initially because those are the damages to you personally. But it also means that we could get real discovery in the case about all of the things that have transpired,
including
and
the board,
and how OpenAI has operated over these several years.
And what Microsoft knows. That's part of what they're pushing for, too.
Right.
He says that only, in the lawsuit, that only OpenAI knows what's in this ChatGPT-4. And they suspect Microsoft does too.
And this is a thing that we've been talking about in AI, open source versus closed source. You have that European company, Mistral, who just raised money from Microsoft, by the way. They're open source. Facebook is open source. You have Google and OpenAI as closed source. You can't tell. One thing that really stuck out to me is part of the case against OpenAI here, the argument that Musk is laying out is they've achieved what's called artificial general intelligence. AGI is what the acronym is for. They're alleging ChatGPT-4 has already achieved that. If you talk to OpenAI right now, if you talk to the folks at Microsoft right now, they say, no way, we're nowhere close to AGI. So this whole part of this case, or a good chunk of this case,
you think rests on that?
That's what it sounds like. It says we believe, or something to that effect, like just based on our outside view, they've already achieved this milestone of artificial general intelligence, thereby negating the deal between Microsoft and OpenAI, because their deal says once OpenAI achieves AGI, they can't use it.
I read the case differently. I read that, but I don't believe that the whole case rests on that.
It doesn't rest, but that's a huge argument. If the case rests on that,
there's actually a problem. I think that is a component part.
But it's the nonprofit stuff
of the case. I think that the other issues are Because otherwise, if you were a judge, you could rule against this case in about 10 seconds and say there's no AGI.
Yeah.
But if you looked at how they did it, they separated the issues so that is sort of one of.
It's the contract, right? I mean, it's breach of contract.
And the contract is the founding agreement.
Correct.
That
they
Musk,
post in there. Yeah.
That Musk and Altman sat down and agreed to, and I guess the sanctity of that contract is going to be what this whole thing is.
Exactly, and they have to prove, and we know how the structure got changed. OpenAI, they would tell you the way we have it structured today, we're still a nonprofit. We just have this other division here that they call capped profit. What that really means, we've never quite understood. So that seems to be the division they're going after and saying this is effectively becoming the R&D version or situation for Microsoft.
The bigger question I have is whether if you're OpenAI and Microsoft, you actually want to settle this case. Because the truth is, and to me this goes to I'm of the view that this case is all about discovery.
Yeah.
This case has almost nothing to do with anything else except.
There's no money. They're not asking for money.
And therefore, if you don't want to participate in the discovery process,
just write a check.
The question is, what kind of check could you write? And is there a check that you could write?
Or does the richest guy in the world want a check?
No, I don't think he does.
Yeah.
And so then the question is sort of, how does this really play out?
And then, let's zoom back a little bit from what's happening in the case. Let's talk about what's happening in Musk's X world, right? He's trying to create XAI, which is it's a competitor to OpenAI. They have a chatbot called Grok. It's supposed to be unwoke or something. Fine, it hasn't taken off. He's trying to raise money. He has unsuccessfully been able to raise money.
You're in the camp of maybe
sour grapes.
That you think this is not just sour grapes. Do you think that this is a cynical play to compete in a better way?
That was my initial read.
Okay.
Here I am, Elon Musk, the richest guy in the world, the hottest startup in the world is OpenAI, and I own Twitter.
I'm going to take the other side of that bet, which is I think that he fundamentally, at a visceral and personal level, feels philosophically frustrated with.
I agree, by the way. I think he actually does feel philosophically frustrated that Sam Altman made this a profit.
With what happened in a way that, by the way, maybe right, maybe wrong. Meaning maybe he shouldn't feel the way he does, but I don't disbelieve that he feels the way he does.
I'm sure feelings are great. Do feelings work in a case like this or in court? Maybe he can say I'm mad.
In this case, they might actually.
Right. And what could he possibly get out of in this discovery? What advantage does he get out of that other than maybe nuking a competitor so his platform could get better?
Well, that's the issue where I'm going with. I'm not sure it's about nuking the competitor as a competitor. I think it's about nuking the company that he feels on a very personal basis that he effectively create. This is like.
Well, he's been taking credit since it became really popular. He's been taking credit for it.
And
look, I think that Elon legit does not like that OpenAI, that was supposed to be a hedge against Google, ended up becoming more powerful, one could argue, than Google, given what we're seeing is going on with OpenAI, because they turned into a profitable model. Now, on the contrary, one can make the argument that the only reason that Google is, or the only reason OpenAI is powerful is because they became a profitable company, or they turned into a profit-oriented company, right? From a nonprofit. Microsoft right now at 412, and they have to sign that $13 billion partnership with Microsoft to even have the computational infrastructure / credits to be able to handle the thousands and thousands of messages or millions of messages that are coming into ChatGPT every day. So I agree with Elon that it wasn't a good thing to do, especially because you took Elon's $50 million and he didn't get a return on that. But also, I have some sympathy for Sam Altman, because how the hell do you make a company really big or an idea really big unless there's a profit incentive? Like, at the end of the day, humans are greedy. We are motivated by money. That's how markets and investing work. We want to invest if we know we're going to get a return. Pouncer right now down about 1.2%. Sell side pressure at 25.60 was just too high. Now it's down. Whole market taking a little bit of a drop. Even Dow, it was up 30%. Now it's up about 24%. So from that perspective, I think Altman kind of had to make it a profitable company. And I don't really blame him for that, but I do get why Elon's mad. Now, the lawsuit, I have no idea what's going to happen in the lawsuit. I doubt it's going to really put a dent into OpenAI, because, Microsoft has pretty good lawyers as well. But it is a new thing that they have to deal with in terms of litigation. It's definitely not going to be easy for them to happen. Gio says Elon only cares because he doesn't have skin in OpenAI anymore. He'd stop caring if he did, just as he stopped caring about bots, etc. when he took over Twitter. Yeah, look, if Elon had an equity stake in OpenAI, I don't think he would care as much. New York Community Bank down 25%. But now that his money to fund OpenAI turned into nothing, and it's just now a profitable company. I mean, that is kind of weird. You put in like 60, 70 million bucks, and You don't even have any control. And by the way, if Elon had an equity stake, he would champion to be on the board of directors, right? Like he would really be an activist if he did. And I think that's why Sam Altman kind of knew this guy's got to get out of here. So it could be his ship, but Elon wants to be the captain on that ship. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how that happens. It's going to be very, very interesting to see how this ultimately plays out. But it's going to be exciting. Captain says, I think Elon doesn't care. He ultimately wants the advancement of civilization. He wasn't invited at the United Auto Workers event. He doesn't care much about anything other than advancement. I agree, but he wouldn't be suing OpenAI if he genuinely didn't care, right? He would just be focusing on making Tesla even bigger. I think he's a little upset that this whole thing happened, And if OpenAI is not going to create civilization to be more advanced, then obviously Elon's going to be upset that a company that's going to be that powerful. OpenAI is 80 billion. OpenAI is, dude, if they keep executing with Sora, you could see OpenAI at $1 trillion. Why not? It might take a couple decades, but you could see that happening, maybe even less. And with the way AI is going, if OpenAI is at $1 trillion and it was supposed to be a nonprofit, yeah, I think Elon would be kind of upset at that. I think he'd be pretty obsessed. Where's Baba? Alibaba. Baba's at 74.66, up 0.85%. So Chinese stocks kind of been flat this entire week. Bitcoin just under 62,000. Surf Air Mobility, remember that company that Palantir got 1.8 million shares in? On my Twitter, if you go to my Twitter, they did a video with Palantir. So if you just go to my Twitter, it's in the description. You will be able to see that video. They did a 9-minute demonstration with Palantir. Really, really exciting stuff, really fun. So they are working with Palantir now, and it seems like that's why Palantir invested in them as well. How do you buy OpenAI? You can't. From my understanding, I think ARK's venture fund has some exposure to it, but on the private market, it's tough. Again, it's tough to get access to these startups. So I don't think people like us can really get it. Meta 498 right now, 498.61. It touched 500. So Meta hit an all-time high today at 500. Meta now 1.27 trillion. Put in the chat if you think Meta is overvalued. Meta is up year to date. Let me check right now. Meta is up year to date, I think almost 30%. Year to date, they are up 41%. Sorry, not 30. It's 41. I don't want to say Meta is necessarily overvalued because their growth is amazing, the dividend, the buybacks, but it's run up a lot. And I don't know. I don't know how much more sustainable Meta is to keep running, but investors are putting money into Meta. Everyone says no. Yeah. Look, I would argue Meta is definitely not overvalued. I just don't know if it can keep running the way it's run. Same thing with Amazon. Amazon hit an all-time high yesterday. It is like $12 away, $7 away from its, sorry, they hit a 52-week high yesterday. Let's see if they hit the all-time. I think it's at like 182. I don't know, man. It seems like this money is continuing to be pumped into Mag 7, even though these companies have run. It's hard to say they're overvalued. All of them. Google especially. You can't say they're overvalued. Except Apple. Apple, wow, below 180. Apple's, I think, objectively overvalued given the growth in the PE, even though it's might at 160, probably approaching fair valuation. But where else is that money going to go? It's not going to small caps yet. It's not going to small caps yet. And so if it's not going to small caps, it's going to stay in large caps. Now, we got an update on money market funds. Money market funds, what do you think in the chat? Did they increase or decrease? They decreased 2 times. For the last 2 weeks. I got the new update. What do you think? Do you think they increased or do you think they decreased? JD says, how much cash is still waiting to be invested? Well, we're going to find out right now with these money market funds. As of February 29th, money market funds are up $49 billion. This shocked me last night. This really shocked me. We had 2 decreases of $9 billion over the past 2 weeks. And yesterday, $50 billion went into the $6 trillion on the sidelines. Either that's signaling that maybe companies have a lot of cash and they're pummeling it into money market funds, right? That could be a reason. Or people are pulling money out of the market, which is weird because S&P is at 500 billion assets under management. It's at all-time high. QQQ at all-time high. Bitcoin ETFs, they're in the top 4% of ETFs in terms of BlackRock, 10 billion under management. Money's still somehow on the sidelines, and it's up 50 billion, even though you've got Bitcoin doing well and you've got the broader markets doing well. So it's very interesting to see that somehow more money's coming outside of the markets and going into money market funds to just kind of be chilling and waiting there. Steve says, when is the S&P rebalance today? I believe it's after hours. After hours, they will be announcing it. And then on the 3rd Friday of March, they will actually be doing the rebalance. If you guys ask me right now, what are the odds Palantir gets in? I would say it's not the best just because companies have been profitable and fulfilled requirements before, and it takes them like a good year to get in. It's this random committee that has to make whatever decisions they make, and then they decide. So look, I could they get in? Sure. But will they actually get in given the history of these public companies? I don't know, dude. It's anyone's best guess. If they do get in, it's going to be great. If they don't, we just have more time, which is okay because we know it will happen this year. It just might happen a little bit later at the end of the year. 10-year treasury right now, 4.256. It was at 4.3. So it's seeing a little bit of decline, even though it's up on today, which is not too bad. And it's interesting also that the market's at all-time highs with the 10-year at 4.2, because the market last time it got to these levels, the 10-year was at 3.8. So the bond market is saying something kind of different than what the stock market's saying, but the stock market doesn't care. The stock market's like, we're just going to keep going higher because this is where we want to allocate our capital. And again, we've been talking on the show for the past couple of weeks. What is the reason to sell your stocks outside of taking profits? And I personally, I don't know. And I don't know if like NVIDIA right now, 802, I don't know if you can just say, oh, like, because you're afraid the market's going to go down. Like, that's not a good thesis. Robinhood right now, 1644. You've got to have a real argument for why there's going to be problems in the broader equity markets. Inflation reports are coming in pretty okay. Housing data is not the best, but it's not the worst. And we know rates eventually have to come down. I don't really know what is the reason for why people pull their money out the markets. And that's what the market's showing us with these indices being at all-time highs. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Enphase, let's look at Enphase right now as well. Enphase here at 124. Enphase down about 1.6%. Now, is there a chance we get a 10% pullback this year? I would say, of course, because we've always had a 10% pullback at one point of the year. It just seems like the broader equity markets are not allowing that to happen yet, because they feel that if they did sell their stocks, where would they put their money? And I don't think anyone really has the best answer to that question. And that's why we're seeing more momentum come into these stocks. Okay, PMI, is that out? PMI report is down, or PMI report is up. Let's see. I think PMI is up. Let me get the report real quick. Yeah, here we go. Here's the PMI. It's down. That explains why the market is falling a little bit right now. Here we go. United States ISM manufacturing PMI 47.8 versus 49.1. Previous was 49.5. Okay, for those that don't know what the PMI data is, manufacturing, all of it has to do with how much the United States is actually producing. Above 50 means we are expanding. Below 50 means we are contracting. That's the only real metric you need to know. Now, we've been below 50 for a little bit, so the market was looking for us to get closer to 50 than continuing to keep going below 50. This report is technically bearish because it is furthering us to go below 50, which means the inevitable byproduct of this is GDP slowdown. That's what it means. It means that we're not producing as much, we're not exporting as much, therefore GDP can't grow as much, which is interesting because GDP growth was actually revised to be higher a couple of days ago. That's what also got the market excited. But the S&P right now is not down too much on that. I mean, it's still up 0.23%. Marcel says, does that mean rate cuts are coming sooner? I don't know if PMI data is enough to get rate cuts to come sooner, but look, it's not that. I mean, yes, it's down below expectations, but it's not like it's at 30 or something like some of these other countries that are in a different scenario. But you don't want to see that trend continue for the next couple of months, because then we know there's a potential recession on the way, right? If we're just not producing as much. So that's something we're going to have to see and keep an eye on. A couple of other headlines. Brazilian GDP has stalled for the second quarter. Brazilian GDP missed market expectations of a 0.1% increase. So their GDP is seeming to stagnate. Another headline, China's manufacturing PMI edged down to 49.1 from 49.2. So again, that same thing we looked at for the United States at 47.8. For China, it's at 49.1. So we are seeing the fifth straight month of contraction when it comes to Chinese factory activity, which is obviously not good for China because the majority of their economy is factories and exports. And then on top of that, we're seeing United Kingdom housing prices rise 1.2% year over year in February 2024. This is ending a 12-month period of declines, and it exceeded market expectations of 0.7%. So housing prices are starting to at least go up in the United States. Obviously, we've seen that the supply shock has made prices go up and mortgage rates go up. And so we're seeing a little bit of the same thing right now in the United Kingdom. Chris in the chat says China's going to export deflation. This is a really good point that I want to underscore. If China is not producing as much, then China needs to be able to incentivize to get more businesses. So if China makes this cowbell, for $3 and exports it to the United States, and then, the United States can sell it for $10, $15, whatever, different, e-commerce stores or whatever here. If China is not getting that much more business, they've got to reduce their costs for making the cowbell. And if that cowbell goes from $3 to $1, that means prices in the United States come down from $12 the cowbell, I think about like $8 for this thing, down to $6, $5, right? And so it helps with CPI. It helps with inflation coming down. It obviously, as Chris said, is exporting deflation. And given that so much of our imports are from China, even though more of it on a percentage of proportionate basis is starting to come from Mexico, which is actually really exciting for the United States that we have a different partner other than China, that will have deflation, hopefully, in the United States over the next couple of months. And if that happens, that's going to be really good for CPI as well, which is going to be good. Apple below 180. Yep, Apple is below 180. Someone says, I think Temu is already doing it. Temu's their like slogan is shop like a billionaire. And I'm like, I get it. They want to make things so cheap that it feels like you have like billions of dollars, but the stuff you're buying is so bad. Like it's just like garbage quality that I don't know if a billionaire shops like that. I think a billionaire just like buys whatever they want. So I get the brand, but it's just not the best quality. AMD 200, Apple 178, and PayPal is at 61. Wow, guys, we did it. This is a bigger announcement than what I've announced today. PayPal is actually 8 cents above $61 somehow. Benny says, Amit, when you buy Tesla, you'll be fully diversified into robots. Yeah, so here's the other kind of side announcement I have to make. For those that are just joining, I invested in Figure AI, a startup valued at about $2.6 billion. That was the big announcement. I am going to start heavily building my Tesla position. And it's going to take some time. It's not going to happen overnight, but I'm going to start doing that. And I'm more aggressively because I believe in this robotics thesis. I'm not buying it for the cars, not buying it for the gross margins or volumes. I've sipped the Kool-Aid on Tesla when it comes to robotics. And so that's my thesis on it now. I know the price maybe is probably overvalued at $640 billion, given Wall Street's thinking of it as a car company. But this is where I think maybe there's an edge on retail. If you don't think of it as a car company and Wall Street's not valuing it as a car company, what does it look like when it's not really a car company? I think Tesla will ship Optimus and make it commercial before robo-taxis happen. Maybe FSD happens before that, but I think this thing probably happens before FSD and definitely happens before robo-taxis. So to me, I think that is the thesis for Tesla as well. Amit, what do you think about NVIDIA for robots? Again, Jensen Huang, I just want to bring up this quote again, what he said on Wired magazine. He is bullish for robotics. I think you can't go wrong buying NVIDIA when it comes to robotics as well, if that is part of your thesis. But listen to what he said here at an interview last week. Someone said, what is happening right now that you feel is going to change everything? He says there are a couple things. One of them doesn't really have a name, but it's some of the work that we're doing in foundational robotics. If you could generate text, if you could generate images, you could also generate motion. The answer is probably yes. And then if you can generate motion, you can understand intent and generate a generalized version of articulation. Therefore, humanoid robotics should be right around the corner. Dude, I think all of us have doubted Jensen Huang for the past 10 years because all of us are probably underweight NVIDIA. When this guy says humanoid robotics is the next evolution of where AI is actually going to have material implications, I think we should take that seriously. Does it actually happen? Who knows? But it's one of those things where if you were going to take something seriously, to me, it would be Jensen Huang talking about that. And so, yeah, I think Tesla's going to be a big player there. And AI needs a body, correct? Embodied AI. AI needs a body as well. So exciting stuff to see that end up playing out. And that's why we're seeing companies. That's why NVIDIA invested in these guys, dude. They're not investing for the hell of it. They're investing because they think, hey, maybe if they're going to invest in SoundHound, they would take, by the way, Figure at what, $2.6 billion. They publicly announced the valuation. SoundHound today is at 1.64. SoundHound was $2 billion yesterday before it dropped 13%. So, I mean, if NVIDIA is going to invest in companies like this, they're going to take their hat around all these different startups, and maybe they work, maybe they don't, but they're definitely going to try. PayPal up 1.5%. Somehow, some way, PayPal is up right now. Tesla is the perfect spot for robotics, manufacturing expertise, and FSD software. I agree. Now, I've been asking you guys for the past couple of days, if you had, whatever amount of money you had, would you invest in Tesla or Figure? A lot of people said Tesla, and I understand why, but I hope people realize now Figure at 2.6 billion, to get to 10 billion, to get to 20 billion, it has to 5-10x, right? Like if it 5-10x is boom, your money's up 5-10x. For Tesla to 5x, for Tesla to even 2x, Tesla has to go to fucking trillions, dude. And it's not like that's not possible. It's just easier mathematically for something to go from 2 billion to 10 billion than from 600 billion to 5 trillion, right? It's a little bit harder. So I think Tesla will eventually get there. I just think from a risk reward perspective, it made sense for me to take the risk on Figure if it does happen. Now Figure's way riskier, 100%, but it would be really cool if that happens. Aniket says Meta 88 to 500. What a journey. And look at that. There's your 5X in the stock market right there. 88 to 500. What a journey. I am sad I did not participate in Meta's journey from 88 to 500. Meta right now at 501. Absolutely incredible news for Meta investors. This is what I'm sad about. I believe in Meta's product so much. I don't really care about all the criticism about Meta. I just think they're a great business. I think they're one of the best places in the world to advertise. And for small businesses, if you want to reach customers, you've got to use Facebook. And they just grow, dude. These guys just keep growing. And I never found my entry price. It just ran away from me. So it is what it is. But if you got into Meta and you were able to invest when everyone said they were AOL, when they were worth 200 billion and they were putting up 120 billion in revenue, I mean, you deserve it. You definitely deserve the gains here on Meta. Fisker down 40%. That is correct. Fisker is down 40%. There you go. FSR down 43% right now on the day. So Fisker is down. SMCI 907. Wow. Dude, SMCI, what a hell of a journey with this company as well. It's up 5% on the day. I think they're up because AMD's up and the market's just getting excited for that. Robin at 1647. Robin is trying to break their 52-week high at 1653. Let's see if these guys can do that. Robinhood's trying. They are trying. A lot of updates on Robinhood this week. I've talked about it all on my Twitter. You guys can see it on my Twitter, but these guys are executing, dude. These guys are fucking executing. Lean machine, $14 billion valuation. Take away their cash, it's an $8 billion valuation. I mean, these guys are going to do their thing. That Robinhood's going to be like a triple leveraged ETF on the QQQ and the S&P because they not only have crypto mania coming in, but they also have rates coming down, and they're fucking introducing new products every month. Like, I think Robinhood's going to be fine. So it's going to be fun to see how they play out as well. If Snow beats their very low estimates and this earnings later this year, it might be a good candidate for a buy. I agree. I think they sandbagged primarily because of the fact that they want a new CEO to have some more excitement and to have the ability to, beat on these numbers. I just think in the broad scheme of things, I don't know if the growth is sustainable given the nature of their product. And that's just in regards to my due diligence on Palantir. But they're probably going to keep growing. It's not like they're going to not grow. And they're probably sandbagging, but I think Palantir is sandbagging as well. And so if Palantir is sandbagging and Snowflake sandbagging, which one are you going to pick? Especially if you're buying Snowflake at still a delta of a premium evaluation to Palantir. 62 billion for Snowflake and then Palantir at 55. Also, I don't know the new CEO, Sridhar Ramaswamy. I'm sure he's a good guy, but I don't know him. And if I'm investing in someone, I'm investing in the CEO, right? Like with Figure, I'm investing in Brett. I watched like 15 podcasts of this guy to really get a feel of like, is he the real deal? I'm not saying he's going to take the company to the moon, but does he have a chance to take the company to the moon? Because at the end of the day, I'm giving him my money. He's the guy who's responsible for this. And I concluded after listening to him talk and looking at his successful exits, this guy's exited 2 companies. One of them he took public. Like if you were going to invest in a person, I mean, you would invest in Brett. Like you would give Brett a shot. So I don't know if I should invest in Sridhar Ramaswamy, right? I don't know this guy. And so I think it might take a while for the street to get really accumulated to why he's the guy to make Snowflake the next, big enterprise AI play. And so we'll see how that happens. Figure needs to generate revenue. That is correct. They are pre-rev. I mean, look, Figure is a small company. They're a small company right now. So it's also, but see, to me, this is a bull case. Why is NVIDIA, Amazon, OpenAI, Microsoft investing in a company that's 2 years old and is not, they're a little startup? I think they're investing because they actually think the tech is real, right? Or at least they believe that, hey, there's something there, even if the company is so small. And so, that's another reason I think that they're excited for it as well. Okay, let's get an update on something else I wanted to show you guys. So here's an update on Apple's Vision Pro. Let me know in the chat if anyone is still using this thing or if you bought this thing. I think the hype is dying down a little bit. So let's get an update on this.
This photo. This is a groom wearing the Apple Vision Pro at his wedding. Photo went viral. This is software engineer Jacob Wright. He wore the headset during his February 10th wedding in Utah, not during the ceremony itself, but for photos, and while dancing during the reception. His bride, Cambry Wright, told SF Gate that she wasn't mad. She thought it was funny. But you have seen more and more scenes like this. It's been a month since the Vision Pro was made available to the public. Our next guest was one of the very first people to try it out. Joining us right now is Joanna Stern. She's Wall Street Journal personal technology columnist and a CNBC contributor. And Joanna, I was a little surprised by your take at the end of a month. It sounds like, for you at least, the honeymoon has worn off.
It has, and I guess I could have gotten remarried or renewed my vows in it, which would have been the real ultimate stunt. But yeah, I've been using it for now a month. And of course, when you review a product, you're using it all the time when you first get it. You want to evaluate it. And I really enjoyed using the Vision Pro at first, and I still enjoy using it. I am just reaching for it far less. For me, it is definitely not an everyday computer. And the things I thought I would be using it for, which is work, I thought I would be like every day putting this on, using this to get some of my writing done, working done. That's not the case. I'm actually turning to this more to the entertainment purposes, to watch a movie, to watch a show. And I do have to say, I believe the killer app is actually flying with this on. You will see more people wearing these on airplanes because it is a great experience up in the air.
Yeah, I loved your anecdote from that. Maybe you can talk a little bit about it, because you were seated between a married couple on a flight and you were able to turn it off and basically make it look like you were on the moon.
Yeah, I think, look, even if you have the best seat on an airplane, this thing is going to be great. But if you've got the worst seat on an airplane, which I happen to have had a few weeks ago when on flight, this thing was great. And that speaks to what this is right now, which is really a virtual reality headset. It's great for escaping those situations you may not want to be in, or just taking a break. And so in the case of the airplane, yeah, I was quickly able to log on to United's Wi-Fi, quickly able to then start streaming some videos that I downloaded. I would even stream some stuff through the United app. So it's a good experience, but that question is, how often are you going to use this? And really, if you think about what's happened with virtual reality and the hurdles they've had to going mainstream, especially those Quests, this is a similar situation. People buy them, they're excited, and then they may sit in a drawer or in the corner for the majority of the time. And that is the real hurdle that Apple's up against.
So, Joanna, I'm sure you saw when Mark Zuckerberg effectively did his own review of the Vision Pro. And he effectively made the argument that he thought that his device was better, just both on a price-adjusted basis, but I think he thought overall on a better because of the weight and because of these other issues, and thinks that there's a lot of stuff that those devices can do that the Vision Pro can also do, but that he believes they've either marketed badly or otherwise. How do you think about that?
I still think that the Meta Quest is a very strong product for that price point. But when you put on the Vision Pro, it is a markedly better experience in a few different areas. It is definitely heavier, and that battery pack is a pain, which is what he was really pointing out. But some of the quality issues and the way Apple has perfected the hand tracking is, to me, superior. And it is a more natural experience in terms of navigating these digital interfaces. Meta does a very good job in certain areas. And I would say one area I really think Apple's going to have to head into, and it makes a natural sense for them, is working out. One of the best things Meta did was acquire Supernatural, which is this workout company, which you work out in VR. And it is the one reason I usually find myself going back to the Meta Quest.
Having said that, though, you're not keeping this Vision Pro. You're sending it back. You don't think it's time for you to buy one?
Look, this was a review unit, and it's time to go back. To me, the big question is, will I miss it? Will I miss having that around? And will that be the reason to buy the $3,500 headset? Look, I may end up buying it just because I should have it here and it's part of my job. But if it was just an everyday consumer, I would not be buying the headset.
Okay, so obviously you've got people that are just like, I don't know anymore about this thing. I don't know if this thing is really that exciting anymore. I would love to know in the chat. Michael here says that it's just annoying. It's kind of heavy and it's an amazing product. The immersion capabilities are out of this world. Never seen anything like that. I've never been able to use it yet, but from the people I'm talking to, they love this thing. The problem is, yeah, it costs a lot of money. It's heavy. And the next generation will be better. So why would you buy this generation? Now, in terms of Apple, I think the market's also not convinced that this is going to have a material impact on their earnings. We saw that Apple got rid of their EV car unit to be able to go all in on generative AI. Apple right now, 178, down about 1.13%. And the reason for that is because they see a way bigger opportunity creating AI at the edge on the devices themselves versus like building out an electric car. It's not the easiest thing to do. The margins aren't the best. So I think it makes sense for Apple. Google at 138 as well, close to its 2024 low at 136. But the street's just not convinced that Vision Pro or generative AI is what's going to fuel their growth yet. And I think Apple's going to have to put up some numbers to see that. NVIDIA at 807. Wow. NVIDIA's running again. AMD is probably past 200. Look at that. AMD 200.32. ARM, where is ARM? ARM's at 141. So they're at still 145 billion. And then SMCI, 6% up. Let's go to the semis playlist right here. Everything should be green. Yep. Look at that. Everything is green. Even Intel is up today. I think on Fridays, the market's just like bored and they're like, well, NVIDIA. There we go. We got NVIDIA. Let's just do NVIDIA. Michael says, admit I'm on the road right now, but when I get back to Vegas, I'll try to go through an entire admit market open while wearing the Apple Vision Pro. Okay, please do. Yeah, let me know what it feels like to be seeing me in immersive reality. I still haven't used it yet. I got to go to the Apple Store and actually try to use it, but I wouldn't pay $4,000 yet, dude. The next version definitely, but the other thing is I don't know if I would use it every day, guys. I don't know if I would use it every day. My laptop, I just bought the MacBook. That's great. The iPad Pro, iPad Pro, MacBook Pro. That's enough for me, dude. And my phone. I don't even have the Apple Watch. I've never really even felt the need to like wear the watch. Like I only use the watch for time, so it's like it's not that exciting. But I don't know. $4,000 is just a lot for something that I don't think I would use every day. And I think that's kind of the broader issue I have with it. That's $4,000 from Palantir. That's right. That's $4,000. Where's Palantir, by the way? Palantir 2482. Okay, so Palantir fell off. A lot of sell side pressure at 25. Again, every time we say this, I feel like so privileged because like this fucking thing's up from like 50%. So it's like how mad can we be? But like now we're just like, all right, what's the next level? Let's try to get we might see some serious kind of just like chilling out in this range for the next 4 or 5 months until earnings, because I mean, I think it's priced to perfection. If it got to $30, it'd probably be a little bit more stretched in terms of the valuation. And if Snowflake takes a tumble, then, Palantir is probably going to be closer to Snowflake's valuation. So it's kind of going to be there unless we have a major catalyst, Project Titan, that contract, and S&P are like the main ones. But, those aren't happening just yet. And we'll see if S&P happens later today. Why is CrowdStrike down? CrowdStrike's down because Zscaler is down. So Crowd right now is down 3%. Zscaler is down 9%. And then the other one is, what's the other one? Palo Alto, Nancy Alto. That one's down 3%. Yeah, that's just cybersecurity. Zscaler's down, so all these other guys are down. And Zscaler doesn't deserve to be down, in my opinion. I think that's a valuation thing. Their growth was great. Let's get an update on small caps. Here's Josh Brown talking about what's the issue with small caps and if this market can actually broaden the rally.
4.5%. Tech's only up 3%. I'm going to go through some names too in a minute, but what do you think of this story?
I'll tell you your problem. You're putting people on the air that are looking at the Russell 2000. They're missing the boat on what's really happening here. There is a bifurcation taking place between large and small. Mid caps caught somewhere in the middle. That part is true. The question is, which one do we focus more on? We focus on Russell 2000, which is smaller than the meal Apple just ate for lunch. Or do we focus on how many huge, important companies are, as we speak, making 52-week highs or all-time record highs? From my perspective, don't worry about the small caps. Focus on the big story.
Okay, I'm so glad you went there. Perfect segue.
I always go there.
Yes, you do. Stocks in the last week outside of tech that have made all-time highs. Ulta Beauty, United Rentals, Hilton, Marriott Booking Holdings, NVR, TGX, Ross, Tractor Supply, AutoZone, O'Reilly, Colgate, Costco, Marathon, Diamondback, Phillips, American Express, MasterCard, Visa. I could keep going. That's like half the list, maybe not even so.
But the small caps, the regional banks, can you imagine?
But that gives you an idea.
How about today? AutoZone, TJX, Otis, MasterCard, Home Depot, Costco, General Electric, Disney at a 52-week high. Don't tell anyone. Like, if these are the stocks that are leading the market, and they are, by the way, Apple is making lower lows, is not leading the market. RSI is 37, not even in the game. Alphabet actually somehow looks worse. Tesla, negative 19%. Like, those are not the leaders. These new companies that we're talking about, not really new to the conversation, they're not part of like Mag 7, whatever. They're going up. And from my perspective, that's the more important message. And by the way, look at equal weight NASDAQ, technology, writ large. It looks amazing. Look at even equal weight S&P. It's making higher highs. It might not be NVIDIA strength, but that's what you want to see. So yes, there are a few thousand stocks that aren't really that important, that don't look great right now. There's no real cause for alarm. And I want to leave you with something. J.C. Peretz's new note out this morning. This is the bottom line for me. There are no new lows. So right now, 13% of the S&P 500 making new highs. That's great. It's not higher than normal. It's fairly normal. The fact that there are no new lows is the point. So if you're seeing 52-week lows spiking, that's when you want to get concerned about the health of the rally. It doesn't exist. There is no list. So when are you going to see that spike? Well, let's start with 10-day lows. Then let's look at 1 month lows. Let's look at 3-month lows. We'll build up to that 52-week lows. There's nothing on any of those lists. And until there is, I think the bulls have it. And I think that's a very logical way to think about the overall market.
Right. So the Russell's up 3.5% almost in the last month. But what, like, I don't know, 25%, 30% of the companies don't make any money. It's loaded with regional banks. For a while, we were using it as a litmus test for the broadening of the market. But I like where you're going, because over the last month, let's say the biggest winners in the market over the last month in areas that should get more respect, discretionary. Ralph Lauren's up 26%, Tapestry's up 22%, GM up 15%. I mentioned Chipotle.
You see Abercrombie. It looks like they're curing cancer with khakis.
Industrials, Uber, we know about that. GE up 18%. You mentioned that. Ford up 17%. A lot of materials. Healthcare has woken up.
Yeah, Chipotle. Like, this is a very broad cross section of companies that they're in the consumer economy, they're in the industrial economy, they're discretionary. They're staples. It's like a Church and Dwight. There are staples that are making highs. So look, it's not that this is a silver bullet, and as long as you have new highs from large companies, you have nothing else to worry about. But if you have new highs from that broad a cross section of different sectors, industry groups, some cyclical, some non-cyclical, some counter-cyclical, when you have all of that happening, what are you looking at $7 billion market cap companies for? What signal do you think is there? The only thing that part of the market is telling us is that higher borrowing costs are going to be disruptive to those companies. We all understand that. We all get that.
I think he's dead on right about that. I think his argument is really simple there. The market saying, all right, these small companies are going to have a harder time financing, which is why rates need to come down. And everyone's so upset that small caps keep going up, or large caps keep going up. Well, the reason they're going up is because people are kind of scared of investing in these companies that don't have rates in their favor. It's going to take time for those rates to come down. So as Surfer Boy says, bears are nose deep in the water. Dude, if you've been bearish since 2023, I don't know, dude, like it comes to a point where it's like, what is the argument you can say other than, well, the market has to come down because stocks have went up? Like, there's got to be a better thesis there. And if small caps actually end up breaking out because rates finally come down to the perception of rates coming down becomes legitimate to the market, and the rally can broaden, well, then this is going to be really fun. This is going to be really cool. It says you're lagging. Let me close out some of these tabs. I have so many of these tabs open. Let me get rid of a couple of these. That's probably the reason why. Give me one sec. Let me get rid of this one. Let me get rid of this one. Oh, yeah, I have like 50 tabs open. Who else keeps their tabs open, dude? Who else keeps all their tabs open? I have too many of these. This is way too many. You got to get rid of some of these tabs. I just have so many articles in the morning that I'm reading and like looking at. And like, it's a lot. It's a lot. All right. Should be better now. Should be much better. Should be much better. Okay, cool. So yeah, that's what we're seeing with small caps. And I think as a result of that, this is why the market continues to give the valuation to some of the larger companies. Palantir falling a little bit, 24.67. All right, so 25 was a tease today. 25.69 was absolutely a tease. Dude, for a second, I thought it would last. I thought it would stay. It did not stay. I really thought it would stay. I was like, oh, okay, 25.60, we'll do it. Nope, that's not it. That's not it. David says, did the junkies know about your deal with Derek? I told Chris, but I didn't get a chance to tell V and Carlos because these guys were traveling, so I didn't get a chance to tell them. But I got to tell Chris a couple of days ago. Google Chrome is terrible. Other browsers take way less memory. Yeah, Google Chrome for me has always been good. Safari is trash. Internet Explorer works way better on a Windows computer, but on a Mac, for some reason, Chrome has always been pretty good. But sometimes it does spam out. Also, this person knew as well. Kelly, she got to know before, but I really didn't tell anybody, dude. It took a while for me to even tell, my parents that I really wanted the deal to get done before I told anybody, because you never know if a deal gets done. So I use Brave. I heard of Brave before. I heard of Brave. Brave's a good one. Okay, so today's Friday. So that is the official end of the market open. Thank you everybody for being here. We will be here for like the next 20 minutes doing Q&A. So this is just every Friday we do any type of Q&A, stocks, life, any of that fun stuff. So if you want to stay around for Q&A, feel free to stay ahead. Feel free to stay here. But if not, that is the market open. Thank you everybody for joining. Obviously a big announcement in my life. It was really cool. Thankful to Derek for him to even hop on the call. He's a busy guy. He's running a big company. And so yeah, even yesterday, some crazy shit happened at his company. So he was running all over the place. So really happy he got to take 10 minutes out of his day and talk. And thank you for everyone in the chat that was really excited for me. I know that usually, when you announce things sometimes that are good in your life, people don't always have the best intentions, because a lot of times it is what it is. It's human nature. People don't like to see other people get opportunities, but the far majority of you were just like really happy for me and this opportunity. And that's how I know we're building a real community, because like I was really happy. I'm not in Celsius, but like Matt, for example, he was up a lot of money on Celsius. I was genuinely happy that he was up on Celsius, right? Because we deserve to be happy for each other. We deserve to be a community that actually cares about each other's wins and helps people fall when they have their losses, aka PayPal, which as of now is a pretty bad loss. But it's really nice to know that people actually are happy for someone genuinely. And I think that means you're building a real community when people could be happy for you and not necessarily jealous or anything like that. So that's an important thing. Word of the day is grok.
Grok.
To understand thoroughly or intuitively. I didn't even know why Elon picked this word, but I guess this is why. Because he wants grok to not be like super biased and understand things thoroughly and intuitively. And so there you go. Grok is grok's the word of the day, and that's also Elon's AI company, or Elon's AI competitor to ChatGPT. Okay, cool. So that's it for the market open. We'll start Q&A now, and we'll get into it. Any questions are good to go. And then we'll get out of here for this Friday afternoon, Friday morning on March 1st. Raj, what did it emit by? Figure.ai. That is the company. That was the announcement today. The funny thing is there was like 2 people in the chat that maybe guessed it. Everyone else thought it was going to be like Apple or Tesla or something. Like everyone was pretty much thinking like, oh, you're investing in like some stock. And I was like, no. This is different than a stock. This is like totally different. Totally different. Shem Pasta, congrats again, and kudos to Derek. Yeah, thank Derek again. His LinkedIn, for those that want to connect with him, I'm putting it in the chat. You guys can check it out. And then his Twitter as well. I'm going to put it in the chat. I want to be his Walzer Isaacson one day, because, dude, this guy's story is just insanity, what this guy has been able to do in his life. And it's kind of crazy. Like I'll share a podcast with you guys later that I listened to about from like 4 years ago, that he went from having everything to having nothing, and then figuring out how to have everything again. And it's just pure entrepreneurial prowess to just fucking like execute, and that's who the guy is. And he still remained nice. Like he called me this morning. He bought coffee for his valets. Like, dude, when you're that rich, you don't do that. You don't buy coffee for people. You don't it's very rare to find someone who's that successful, obviously has generated wealth for himself and is still a good human being. And that's the type of person if Derek was a dick, I wouldn't have invested, dude. Honestly, if this guy was a dick, some like random asshole or something, I would have been like, dude, fuck it, I don't care about this investment opportunity, because then like, what's the point, right? You want to be with someone who's a good person. And I've dealt with people that have been egomaniac narcissists their whole life. And even though they have some power, they think you're ahead of you. And they like, Derek acts like he's fucking broke the way he talks, even though he's worth a lot more. And obviously he's done a lot more. So it's really rare to find someone who's a nice human being. And that's because he had a mentor, as he was saying on the call, that took him under his wing, and he was a lot younger, and that mentor was a lot older. The guy was about 90 years old. And I think that gave him the sort of like philosophies of what it means to pay it forward to the next generation. So that's why it's a really good thing that he's actually a nice person and he's doing this as well. Kevin says, you ever been snowboarding? No, Never once. Oh, actually, one time in 2005. I know it's so random, but one time in 2005, I went snowboarding with my neighbors. I remember they took me to the slopes here in New Jersey. Or no, it was in Point Pleasant. That's in Pennsylvania, right? Yeah, that was Point Pleasant in Pennsylvania. And that's the last time I went snowboarding. Ever since then, I never did snowboarding. Kelly says, question, are you leaving me for Derek? No, I'm not leaving you for Derek. Kelly's had to put up with a lot, dude. Kelly, dude, I mean, look, I like when we were trying to get this deal done, I was, I had to call a lot of people. So I was supposed to be on the phone with Kelly one night and I was on the phone with Derek. Like, it was just like, she's had to put up with me kind of getting through this entire February. And a lot of shit in February, obviously, to get this thing done. A lot of calls, lawyers, all this shit. So shout out to Kelly, because she also had to deal with my shit basically for a month. It was on Valentine's Day. Yeah, that was the worst thing too, dude. It was on Valentine's Day, and it's like I'm running around talking to 17 different lawyers trying to get this deal to happen. And then it's Valentine's Day, right? You should be kind of talking to your significant other. And so she had to put up with that, but obviously she's happy because it's one of those things where it's like the money needed to be wired the next day, February 15th. And I needed to figure this shit out February 14th. So yeah, it was a lot to kind of happen. How much was your investment? I can't officially say because it's still confidential. So it was a decent amount of money for me. I can't literally say how much money it was, but it was up there. I mean, decent chunk of cash, put it into the company, and we're letting it ride out. Obviously, I have orders of magnitude more of the cash that I put in the stock market and in my Palantir investment, all that stuff, right? So that's still there. But I did have to sell some. I sold a little bit of stocks, right? Sold some CleanSpark, sold some stuff here and there. But overall, that's there. Soundhound is back. Where's Soundhound? Soundhound is down 13%. Soundhound is not back. Soundhound is not back. It's down 13%, dude. It's down 13%. Do you see Figure going public? Yes. I personally believe this is a company that can go public. This is a company I believe can produce trillions of dollars in net income. And I know when you say that, people are like, get the fuck out of here. And like they should have that reaction. But I mean, it is, if you do the due diligence, it is possible, dude. And it's like, it's crazy to say that it's possible, but it is. And if that happens, it's going to be really, really fun. It's going to be really fun. Iceman JJ says, Amit, Palantir news is out. What is the Palantir news? What is the Palantir news if it's out? I looked at their IR website. There's nothing there. Yeah, I don't see anything on Google yet. Let me know if you have any specific news. I don't see anything there. You guys are saying Palantir news. What's the Palantir news? I don't see it. Do they tweet about it? Let me see. Do they tweet? They tweet about it. Palantir. No, they didn't tweet anything. Where's the news? I don't see the news. You guys are saying yes, Palantir news. Where is the Palantir news? I don't see any Palantir news. I should see the Palantir news. It's not on Twitter. It's not on Google. Or at least I don't see it on Google. Oh, I got the news. We got some news. Palantir got a $10 million deal. No, there actually is some deal. Oh, wait, no, it's not. This is not a deal. Wait, no, this is a deal. Okay, so it's a $10 million deal. It's a $10 million deal. Here you go. $10 million deal. So, this is from GoCarp, good account on Twitter. DISA awards OTA contract to develop next iteration of electronic magnetic battle management joint, $9.8 million to Palantir. Okay, so we got a deal. We got $10 million. We got 10 milli. We look forward to continuing to build out the overall EMBMJ capability to meet warfighter needs and preparing to tackle some of the most complex capabilities and needed to conduct joint electromagnetic spectrum operations. Look up Project Brown Heron for those that don't know what it is. The electromagnetic warfare will make a lot more sense if you know what Project Brown Heron is. So it makes sense that Palantir is getting this deal, $9.8 million. I'll go deeper into this and I'll try to understand it a little bit more. But there you go, $10 million government money continuing to flow in to Palantir. S&P 500 not in yet. S&P 500 not in yet. S&P 500 not officially in yet. We'll know after hours. We'll know after hours for the S&P. We'll know after hours. Okay, cool. So we got a deal. $10 million. I'll analyze this more. We'll talk about it on Daily Palantir. We'll definitely talk about it tonight on Palantir Weekly, but Good stuff. Palantir, another $10 million deal. And again, Project Brown Heron, that thing's going to be worth billions, I think, in the next 10 years in terms of the money that's allocated. Palantir's not going to get all of it, but they will get some of it, which is going to be very important. Derek on the phone, Kelly on the iPad. Yeah, managing both of those things. Lunch with Amit today? No, Lunch with Amit is not today. This is the first show, but I need people to join the show, so I have to actually plan guests. So we did Farzad. We're gonna try to get guests all for next week. I just need one person every day to join me, so I'm gonna start creating a guest list to join me every day on that show. So, well, we will make Lunch with Amit real. I came up with it this week, so that's why it wasn't going to be like legit this week yet. But Farzad was nice enough to join, and then every day 1 to 2 p.m. I like doing something in the middle of the day. It's fun because it could be something where it's not really about the market. It's about like something around technology, stocks. I'm going to probably reach out to everyone I know about humanoid robotics and start interviewing them on the channel. Just really talking about this industry a lot more. This is also something really fun because, obviously we've analyzed Palantir to death and there's still a lot of stuff to analyze, but just having more things to talk about is always fun. This is kind of why I love SoFi, but it gets kind of boring because there's just not that much stuff to talk about all the time. So with humanoid robotics, it's that we're on the cusp of a brand new industry, and it's really fun to be part of it. So that'll be really cool. That'll be really, really cool. Amit will be flying first class in no time. Dude, I'm never going to fly first class ever. I said that. I mean it. I'm never going to fly first class. I'm always going to be 37F, if you know what I mean. That's how I live. As long as I get an aisle seat, I'm okay, but I don't need to be first class. Now, if Figure goes to a Trilly, first class wouldn't be that bad. No, I'm just kidding. But no, that's just like my philosophy. I always want to do economic. It's just kind of a way I want to do it. Lunch with your mom? Yeah, one day I got to bring my mom on. We should definitely have my mom on one day when she takes a day off from work. Should have a little meeting with my mom. My mom is getting into investing, dude. She was like, should I buy Google yesterday? She was like, can I buy 10 shares? I was like, Mom, we're going to sit on Sunday. We'll talk about it. We're not just going to invest in Google to invest in Google. I need to tell you about it. My dad was so funny. He was looking at Snowflake yesterday. He was like, why is Snowflake 187 and Palantir's 25? We should be buying Snowflake. I'm like, Dad, there's this thing called a market cap. And it's about number of shares times the price. They're both basically the same. One of them is bigger because they have less shares. And it's like, it's tough, dude. When you're just getting introduced to the market, these are things you got to learn. And I didn't know this shit 2 years ago. And it's really cool that I'm able to help my parents understand this shit, dude. Like I've started to value talking to my dad a lot more about the markets because, quite frankly, he's old. He's 63. And, I think you guys know he had open heart surgery in May. He's been through a lot this year with his health. So I don't know, how much more time, if I'm being honest, your parents have. Like it is what it is as they get older. And so I think these are the moments where you get to look back on when they're at their last days, where like, hey, you actually spoke to them every day. So many people don't get to speak to their parents. And you actually had some productive discussions, about what news came out about Palantir. Yeah, yesterday he was like, what price is Bitcoin? And like he's interested now, and if that's the thing that we can bond over, that's actually a cool way to develop more of a relationship with your dad. Kelly says, why are you still in love with Courtney? Dude, I'm not going to be able to fucking live this Courtney shit down, am I? I'm not. I brought it up as a fun story. and now I never can live this Courtney thing down. Also, other announcements. So we got 2 more announcements in March. I'm officially launching my software March 8th. March 8th, we'll be launching the Palantir software. I'm really, really excited for it. A ton of work. We are finishing up over the weekend, basically 95% done. Had a couple meetings yesterday, and that's going to be fun. So that is my first SaaS company I'm launching. Subscription will be $42.69 per year to have yearly access to it. And I think if you're a Palantir investor, you will honestly, you will want to put in $40 and to have unlimited use for it for a year. So that'll be officially launching on Friday. It's going to be super fun. I'll be doing an entire presentation March 8th at 10 a.m. And it'll be fun to kind of do that. And then I have another announcement. This is what I told you guys about a couple of weeks ago. That will be probably happening towards the end of March. That's an interview with somebody. And that interview will be pretty cool. So I will let you guys see that at the end of March. Blah, blah, blah. How long do you think the crypto bull run will last for? I think post-halving, we have a good 10 months after that. So I don't think crypto is going anywhere, dude. I don't think crypto is going anywhere. I think we're going to last for a very long time, and it's gonna keep going. Nick says, I'm 62, still running race half marathon. Yeah, dude. Like, it's not about being 60. It's about the stuff my dad's gone through with his health. He's not having the best health. I mean, 60, quite frankly, is it's actually relatively young given the way modern health is going. But my dad's not been the most healthiest, right? So, or the most healthy. So if he's gone through a lot of stuff, just being truthful about it, it's going to be tough for him over the I know what his dad went through with dementia and stuff. Like, I know that stuff is coming. It's just inevitable, given how he is, kept up with his health. So it's one of those things where if he can still have conversations and reason and like actually like be excited for stuff, it's stuff I want to take advantage of, because you won't always get those opportunities forever. Yeah, new USG Palantir contract, 10 million. Yep, 10 million bucks. Palantir just got it. We'll talk about it a little bit later on Daily Palantir today as well. More announcements than Elon. That's what we're doing, folks. Also, another announcement. I'm going to do Q1 Emit Brand LLC earnings on this channel. So probably like end of April, we're going to launch Q1 earnings, and we'll do it every quarter. And I'm trying to figure out how to get a really good set. I don't want to do it here. I want to be like I want to look like Carp with a tight white shirt and have a big ass table and a dope microphone. And I want to be like, this quarter was bombastic. Like, I want to have that type of a call. So we're gonna try to figure out how do we do that type of call, and it'll be really fun. It'll be really fun. It'll be cool. So we will have Q1 earnings. You guys will see all the numbers of Twitter and YouTube and the new software that I launched. You'll see if it's growing, if it's not growing, how many people are buying it, how many people are using it. We'll have all those metrics, and we'll do a Q1 earnings of the Emit brand. I think that'll be super, super fucking cool. If you had $1,000 to invest today, what would you invest it in long term? I would invest it in Palantir. I mean, that's a no-brainer to me. For the long term, right now, like short-term trade, I think there's other opportunities there. But if it's 10 years from now, I just don't think how it could be anything other than Palantir. Like Tesla, sure, but again, Palantir's at 50 billion, Tesla's at 600. So when we think about valuation, it's just like, which one's going to give you a little bit more bang for your buck? I think it's Palantir. S&P 510, Snowflake 188, ARM 142, AMD 198, SMCI 914 on the day. Palantir right now 2485. Emit LLC should be renamed to Derivamit LLC. Maybe that's what we got to do, dude. Maybe we got to fucking name it Derivamit LLC Incorporated. Nubank, interesting. I wouldn't put $1,000 into Nubank. I mean, I like Nubank, even though Nubank's probably going to keep growing, and that 1,000 has a great chance to do very well. See, with 1,000, it's interesting. If you're talking about like 150, like 200,000, like then it becomes a bigger number in terms of where do you want to keep that money for a long time. And Palantir to me just seems to be the option that long term. That's the company that I want to put it in. That is the one that I want to have my chips on. Bitcoin 61, Ethereum 33, Dogecoin 12 cents. Dogecoin as well has been doing pretty well. Altcoins in general. Oh, by the way, does anyone know about the cryptocurrency WIF, WIF? Okay, you guys might not know about it, but this is something that went from a market cap of 100,000 to about 800 million. It's a cryptocurrency. You can't even buy it on regular platforms. Like, it's one of those like coins, right? I wouldn't chase it right now. The pump has happened. The 10,000x has happened. It's already done. So Robinhood listed it in the EU. So Robinhood now supports a crap ton of cryptocurrencies in the EU, not in the United States because the SEC is fucking totalitarian. But they do have it in the EU. And so they're expanding access to more and more opportunities. WIF has developed quite a bit of a community. It's called Dog with Hat. That's the meme around. If you look it up, WIF, Dog with Hat. I'm saying that because Dogecoin is going, right? So like it's one of those things that's gone up a lot. And, Robinhood's capitalizing on a lot of those currencies as well. Remember Palantir outside? Those were good times. I need to do more, dude. I need to do more vlogs on the channel. Like me just walking around my neighborhood talking about Palantir. I need to do more of those because I did those back in July and I haven't done it since then. And that'll be fun, dude. That'll be fun just going for a walk. I should probably go for a walk after the stream. I haven't gone for a walk since, ironically, last Friday. And I probably need to go for a walk. So Maybe record a little bit more of that. Pouncer 2482, Soundhound down 11%. It was down 13%. Snowflake is up a little bit. Fisker still down 46%. Robinhood, there we go. 52-week high, 1655. There we go. Robinhood, 1655. Not bad at all. I said 50. Yeah, 52-week high, 1655 right now on Robinhood. Amid, if you walk in your neighborhood, someone will dox you. I'm going to be walking in a park, not my neighborhood. So it's a park that's a bit far from my neighborhood, and it's just like a regular park with water and geese and ducks and shit. But yeah, maybe a little bit walking around there to do that. That'll be kind of fun. Robinhood 1654, Amazon 177. Nvidia's breaking out. Where is Nvidia? Celsius 82. Celsius still up 1%. IWM, wow, it's up another 1%. It was up 1% yesterday. Small caps breaking out, and Nvidia 808. Boom, Nvidia breaking out as well. Not bad, man. Not bad at all. Lots of different companies kind of having their moments, and all of them having some unique catalysts to allow that. Even PayPal, dude, is up 1.7%. Let's see the PayPal options. How bad are these? How bad? They are up 9%, guys. They're up 9%. All right. So PayPal options are only down 5,500. They were down 6,500 for a long time. So there you go. I'm up 5% on PayPal. Should I sell? I mean, you know, at this rate, I have no idea what's going to happen with PayPal, but I think if PayPal has a shot to succeed, it would be because of the buybacks and eventually the street just realizing that it's undervalued. Kind of similar to SoFi right now. Like SoFi just being massively undervalued as well. So I don't know. I think eventually the street will buy PayPal, but we'll see what happens. Let's listen to a little bit of Kathy, by the way. She also invested in Figure, her venture fund. And so let's see her talk a little bit about robotics right here and see what she has to say. So let me pull this up.
I'm going to hit on another fun subject. The 9-year-old inside of me is like, the robots are coming. Elon's prediction on Optimus at 20,000. Let's say he's going to be optimistic as he normally is, and that's good. Optimism helps you. If innovators weren't optimistic, they would never start any of the ventures because you've got to be optimistic. But let's say that it's not 20,000 for an Optimus. Let's say, or a Figure. Let's say it's 50,000. If you're leasing it like you lease a car, $500 a month, you've got labor 24/7 sitting in your closet downstairs working for you. It's extraordinary.
It is. We're pretty excited. And the way we value this particular space is it's roughly 50-50, home and out of home, about $12 trillion each. So yes, very exciting.
It's a lot. Now, the numbers are interesting for those who haven't sort of seen the conversation. I've seen Vinod Khosla, who's a friend, talk about, as well as the team at Figure, that will hit, billions, perhaps 10 billion by 2040. These are humanoid robots walking amongst us, and millions by 2030. What do you think? What's your projections?
We think they are right, and that we are hitting the tipping point now. And Elon does not do anything unless nothing small. We for sure, but unless again on a first principles basis, he can justify it. And so the fact that he's throwing this weight behind it, and I hope he does get his 25% voting control at Tesla, because as a Tesla shareholder, I want him to see this through.
Yeah. It's interesting. What I love is not only convergence in technologies, but convergence within Elon's companies. So we've got Tesla.
So obviously, I'll put that interview in the chat if anyone wants to watch it. Kathy's excited about robotics, and in general, the broader market for robotics is going to be exciting. I want to let you guys hear Brett Adcock. He's the CEO of this company, and I just want to have him talk for a little bit about what's going on at Figure. This is a good video that shows him kind of showing the factory where they're working at. Let me see if I can pull up this exact video right here, because he talks about it and he also talks about why they're, what their mission is, global GDP, labor shortages, all that stuff. So let me see if I can get this video. It's a really, really good video where he's introducing kind of himself to the world here. Okay, here it is. Perfect. So let's check this out. This is an introduction to Brett and who it is. Amit, what's your returns on Figure if it hits 1 trillion? Well, from this valuation, right? 1 trillion divided by 2.6 billion. It's a lot. It's going to be a lot, dude. It's generational wealth if it happens. I mean, it's just, that's why it's insane that I'm in this. Now, will it hit that? Who knows? That's the moonshot bet you're taking. But you got to be in it to at least see if it has a shot. All right. So here's Figure. Here's Brett. Here's the company. This is, if for anyone who doesn't know him, this is your first introduction to Brett Adcock, CEO, founder of Figure.
To the planet. Our mission really here is to expand human capabilities. If we have humanoids in the market able to do any physical labor, think about what that does for the world. Labor is a choice. It'll free you up to do more things you love every day. We think that's really an exciting and inspiring future. Yeah, I actually grew up on a 3rd generation farm, corn and soybeans in the Midwest in central Illinois. I would say for a long time that I really wanted to build things and make something in this world that doesn't exist. In high school, it became really apparent that there was kind of 3 areas I really wanted to work in: AI systems, robotics, and the internet. And so I've been spending the last 20 years building companies, trying to help improve humanity and make an exciting future. I mean, we're basically at this robotics and AI revolution. Nobody's been working on this hardest problem in robotics, which is how do we do physical labor? What is needed for that is something very mobile, dexterous, and be able to build basically an AI data engine so that the robot can learn how to do basically more things every single day. Here we've kind of embraced that complexity, both on the mechanical and software side, and built a very complex platform that can do basically anything physically a human can do. I think the conventional wisdom here is when we walk into a customer, say a big warehouse or manufacturing or retail company, that we've basically been taking people's jobs. And that couldn't be further from the truth. When we walk into these facilities, there's a giant labor crisis going on.
This is a big deal. It's not about automating. It's about dealing with the labor crisis that will continue to persist over the next 10 years.
These companies are losing 50 to 150% of employees annually. They can't find anybody to do these jobs. They just don't know a solution to help automate through these problems. We feel at Figure the demand for what we're doing is almost unbounded. I would say we're trying to be one of the first in the world to deploy this at real scale commercially. Yeah, welcome to Figure. We're building humanoid robots. Let me show you around a little bit. So this is our robot test area. We have 2 robots currently live that we're operating every single day. Our goal here is to mature the robots to a point where they're doing commercial tasks every single day in our facility. This is actually the torso for the 1st generation robot. This houses computers, power distribution, a whole host of other electronics. So basically we have a manipulation area here where we're working on developing our current and next generation hands, end effectors on the robot that can basically grab anything a human can grab and do work with it. These are all the lineup of our next generation actuators that we've designed all in-house. Our largest here is for the knee and hip. We make all of this fully in-house. We've been running them now for the last 60 days. This is the largest motor and actuator on our next generation robot. So this is our fabrication facility. So we're able to basically make at this point now any single part on the robot. And this is really critical for speed. So every morning we shake out the robot, which means it's doing about 3 or 4 different types of movements to make sure that the latest code is running well on the robot. There's no hardware issues as we approach the day. And it overall just keeps us disciplined. We need to be operating robots every day. This robot here is our 1st version robot. We have 5 of them in our facility. It's a fully electromechanical system, so it means batteries and electric motors. It has about 30 degrees of freedom, multiple different types of cameras for perception systems. Right now, what we're trying to do is doing fully end-to-end autonomous applications with this robot. So can we do human-like work at human speeds? Over the last 30 days, we've been able to demonstrate that work here in our lab. So we hit a really important milestone this summer where we walked a dynamic bipedal humanoid, which we did in under a year, and we believe is probably the fastest to have done in history. Since then, we've done full end-to-end application autonomously with our robot. It's just getting all the different subsystems across 10 different teams to all come together to work. Having to do that on the timeline we did means integrating a system up really fast. And to be honest, the last 6 months have been bring up hell. Everything that could go wrong has gone wrong. We've had suppliers deliver us product that was just not working. We've had to build 911 teams internally to go build new parts of the robot to make sure it works. The robot's performing really well now, but that's the state of hardware. but you got to kind of, dive deep and fix these problems. We really want to build this general interface, a robot that can basically interact with many different types of applications and tasks. We want to be able to do the same thing humans can, sit in a chair, operate machinery, use tools. We're really focused here on delivering a really high quality hardware platform and then basically building a high level AI system on board that can continuously improve the systems and the robot learning over time. We very much have a machine learning first strategy around perception systems, manipulation policies, and overall getting the robot to do these applications. That puts a lot of pressure on us to build basically the right AI data engine from scratch and build the right training sets for the robot to make sure it can scale successfully by itself in any environment. Figure we're a year and a half old. We're about 70 employees. And one of our core philosophies is moving really fast. The hardest part we've had the last 18 months has been there's not really a lot of commercial supply chain for humanoids. So what it's forced us to is basically design almost entire system from scratch. Outside of maybe the compute, everything else besides that we designed here at Figure. And that's, as you probably are well aware, a very steep learning curve. So we've had to design the actuators basically from scratch, the battery systems, operating system, control software, a lot of electronics are designed from scratch. We're basically designing what is the best robot possible we can get out the door. I think I have two big philosophies that are really important to building out this area of kind of deep tech now. The first is you need a really great team. So I spend a lot of time recruiting what I think is the best engineering team in the world. And two is I spend all my time on product and engineering. At the end of the day, that's the most important thing we do is ship a product that's useful or service that's useful to end customers. We have a really unique culture here where we want to move fast. We want to be super optimistic. We want to do really great engineering work. The culture we had instilled here is just not for everybody. We're in the office basically 5 to 7 days a week. We work really hard. We really care about working on the product. So we're really looking for that unique person that kind of wants to go out and put a dent in the world. We've now assembled about 70 engineers in the team that I would say are the best in class at what they do. What's going on over here? Yeah, Teams does push-ups twice a day.
Dude, that's who you're investing in. A team that does fucking push-ups twice a day.
I don't know. We have this philosophy here that we talk about is the only way out is through. I think for entrepreneurs, if everybody knew how hard it was day one, it'd be unclear how many people would actually go out and do this. In some way, that level of ignorance is actually kind of helpful. My advice is just get out there and start building. Start building stuff at subscale, start building that stuff in simulation, start getting just something built, start learning. It's like a stair-step approach over time, right? You're learning, you're recursively getting better, you're making less mistakes, you're progressing the technology, you're raising more capital, you're getting better customer feedback. So I think my biggest advice is to get out and start building as fast as possible. The problem we have here is a humanoid has never been commercially viable. Never been a humanoid put into a real application, getting paid real money to do work. The core focus of what we're trying to do here at Figure is be able to produce a commercially viable robot in the market, we think in the next 12 months. So that means getting a robot, fully autonomous system set up and integrated into our clients' facilities, doing end-to-end work, hopefully up to 20 hours a day without any human assistance. So we spend a lot of time at the requirements level trying to understand what our client needs are. So if we're going to ship robots into warehouses, manufacturing, different levels of retail, we have to know what actual work we're going to be doing. That basically helps define what the robot needs to do from performance, safety, cost, manufacturing. So we'll do different trade studies on, should we use battery cells? What type of form factor? Should it be cylindrical, prismatic, pouch? Should the motors be linear or rotary? There's just a whole host of different decisions that we have to go and make. I would say for the first alpha build that we did, we've made about 70 to those decisions last year, what we should do. We then went out and did a bunch more testing. We built the robot and we're slowly validating all those decisions to make sure we're right. All the right decisions are being moved into the next generation robot and all the wrong decisions were being re-looked at and rethought out and put into the next robot as well. We have a really strong roadmap to support a very fast-paced commercialization plan. We're all working 5 to 7 days a week now trying to go hit that. We have to get a robot into our clients' facilities doing real, actual human-like work. It needs to be safe. It needs to be reliable. We have to do that in an environment that's really high variability, really dirty. Everything that could go wrong will go wrong. Getting the robot to work in those type of environments is going to be extremely difficult for us to do. And that's the next big hill for us to climb. I think the thing is what kind of impact can I have when I'm alive? What has the highest lever arm for that impact? Technology has the ability to touch billions of people's lives at this point. So my advice would be to kind of find those areas that are kind of new and novel, spend a lot of time really deep in the rabbit hole, trying to figure out what that looks like, get your hands dirty. More answers will come, the more time you spend in those environments. Make sure that you're really in it for the long haul. This is really a 10+ year journey. This is not a few year thing. So make sure you see yourselves in 10 or 15 years in that industry doing this thing and being happy. I think it's going to be really important. So at least for myself, like I think this is probably a 20-year endeavor, 30-year endeavor, my rest of my life. I couldn't think of anything more exciting and more challenging to work on. And that gets me really excited to wake up every day. The next couple decades, you're going to see humanoid robots basically going from kind of the science fiction view to like in actual real life. As we approach the next 10 or 20 years, every person in the world has a humanoid. And that humanoid will do everything for you physically. Grab you the coffee, go do an errand, whatever you need to do. It'll just be like having a phone. Humanoids here have the potential to be the largest market on the planet. Technology, if not pushed up the hill, doesn't happen. So somebody's got to get out there and really push the envelope. And it takes a lot of effort from a great team. And we've assembled here probably one of the world's best teams to go after this very hard challenge. Looking back when I'm like 80, I want to look back and say, where did I spend that time? What kind of impact I made? And has it been helpful? And I think at least today, it feels like these are the right projects for me in this time to be working on to make that impact.
Feels kind of legit, man. It feels kind of legit. And I think when you see that, it's pretty intense. Jay Kim right here says, seems like Derek invested in Figure as a part of the 70 million Series A. And they're asking what the valuation was in that 70 million Series A. Derek right here has responded. He has 5x his investment in Series B. So people forget Derek was actually, I mean, people don't forget. I didn't tell you guys that, so there's no way you could forget. Derek was invested early. So this is not Derek's first time investing in Figure. I should have said this before. Derek has been in this deal for a while. This is his Twitter right now. Again, I put his Twitter in the chat. Let me share it right here. He put this in May 2023. Proud investor, exciting times to be alive. This was Figure's 70 million Series A. This is their Series B. Derek has been here since the beginning. He took a shot on these guys before the video you guys just saw, right? So he currently is up about 5x on his investment because he invested when it was 70 million. Obviously, the company now publicly being raised at 2.6 billion. And he's been there for a long time. And that was another reason why I really trusted Derek on like the due diligence he was presenting me as well, because this is a guy that's seeing thousands of deals. I mean, when you're a VC and when you're a VC as connected as Derek and been in the game as long as you've been, you're getting deals passed left and right. And so when a deal like this at its earliest stages passes all of the red flags and you actually make the investment, then the Series B is just like, all right, now it's like, if they keep executing, let's keep going. And obviously the company has executed pretty well to get to this Series B level. So that's why Derek's there. Derek Amit, is he an engineer? Yes, Brett is an engineer. Brett built Vettery, which is a talent marketplace. He sold that for $100 million. That was basically connecting talent across the world. And then he made Archer Aviation. He ran that for 5 years and he took that company public, which is basically Uber for the air. So this is a guy who's just like built companies. And then he took the money he made from those proceeds and he funded Figure. He's an engineer. He's an engineer through the thick and thin. So that's another reason it's also really exciting, because for the people that feel like, oh, like, you know, you're getting these weird vibes from this guy, you don't know who he is. First of all, that's a good thing if you get those weird vibes, because you should be skeptical of someone who's like, you know, talking really fancy and all this stuff. But in the midst of that skepticism, that's where research comes in. That's where due diligence comes in. And I think, you know, the entire Wall Street felt that way about Alex Karp when this guy went public. Retail, you know, kind of understood Alex Karp knows what the hell he's talking about, and look what he's done with the company. And so to me, it's a question of like, I listened to hours and hours of this guy talk. And after 10, 15 hours, you're just like, you know what? This guy has a track record. He's actually built companies. He's taken companies public. He's raised billions of dollars. He knows what he's doing. You don't just start a humanoid robotics company as your first company. It takes years and years of entrepreneurial evolution. I don't know if it's going to be successful, but I definitely am willing to give him a shot. And he's technical. This is deep tech, dude. This is not making a social media company. This is not making a Twitter competitor. This is not making the next Instagram. This is not a photo sharing app. This is fucking some of the hardest shit on the planet. And that's why it's going. Someone's asking, how are the robots trained? From my understanding, given the stuff Derek said on these podcasts, is it's neural networks, right? And you're showing the robot how to make a cup of coffee. You're inferencing all that data, which is why you need a lot of GPUs. This is why NVIDIA is so important in this upcoming robotics revolution and why they're actually seeing potential in Figure, which is why they've invested, to be able to do all that inferencing and then make the application of that inferencing material within a humanoid robot, right? Like that's a hard thing to do, but it's possible. It's actually possible. And so because it's possible, because of the technological advancements we've seen basically over the past really 18 months in regards to GPUs and LLMs, it is possible to talk to Figure one day using natural language processing, and it's talking back to you. It's possible to say, hey, schedule my meeting. It's possible to show it to, to work in a factory and to build cars so that humans don't have to do that. It is possible. It's very difficult, but it's possible. And that's where it becomes exciting. Thomas says, interesting thought. I wonder how much of this data Apple could pull out of their Vision Pro. Yeah, it's an interesting thing. The Vision Pro to me could literally be a little bit of a Tesla robot on wheels, right? That's how the FSD kind of thesis is played out. Maybe there's some data that Apple can pull out of their Vision Pro and kind of play a role in this robotics world. Now, I don't think Apple really cares about that. They're more so on consumer electronics. But if this is something that they want us to get into, maybe there's an opportunity there. The point is, it's a very lucrative space. It's a very lucrative space. Is the funding over? Yes, the funding closed about 2 days ago. It's a lucrative space. Trillions of dollars are going to be made in this industry if it's successful, which I think if you just don't want to bet against Elon, Elon's going to make sure this shit's successful. And then there's going to be a handful of winners. And if Figure's one of the winners and Tesla's one of the winners, then both companies can do pretty well over the next years. So it'll be fun. It'll be fun. J. Kim says, but these investments are very illiquid unless they set up something on the private market before some type of exit, like an IPO. Yes, guys, I'm not seeing the money that I invested into this company for a very long time. I mean, like, either it goes to zero or it goes to whatever it goes to. And it all depends on what the market cap is of Figure and is if they go public. I mean, either Figure is going to eventually go public and this is going to be a really big thing, or they're going to fail. I think those are the two opportunities here. So to me, it's either it goes to zero or it goes to a lot. And so I had to kiss that money away for, who knows, 15 years, 20 years. And even if they do go public, do I really want to sell if they go public? If they are able to go public, this is a company that's going to be producing at that point tens of billions of dollars in net income, maybe hundreds of billions of dollars of net income if they really get this to scale. Maybe this is a stock, if it becomes a public stock, that I hold for the rest of my life, Maybe that's what it is. We'll see. But it's fun to even have an opportunity. And that, I think that's the big thing that I'm just so grateful for Derek for. It's like, we're here. There's an opportunity. There's a chance. So many things in life are about who you know, not what you know. And just the opportunity is everything. The opportunity is absolutely everything. NVIDIA right now running 3%. Okay. So NVIDIA is taking off on a Friday. Where is NVIDIA? Robin at 1653, Enphase 128, S&P 510 back to all-time highs, Palantir 24.99, trying to get to that $25 level. Palo Alto Networks down 4% now, below $300. SMCI up 6%, AMD 198, NVIDIA 815, 3% on NVIDIA. I don't know why NVIDIA is running, but NVIDIA is running. So if you own fucking NVIDIA, and look, the Figure is a bull case for NVIDIA, dude. I mean, like, if humanoid robotics succeed, the only reason they will succeed is because of GPUs. We will need those damn GPUs. And the only guy who's selling the crack, the only drug dealer in town that really has the Walter White of GPUs, that has the blue, the baby blue, is NVIDIA. And so we will see. We will see. Jay Kim says, no way, Amit. Figure will IPO in under 3 years. In my opinion, AI and robotics craze will guarantee it. Even at a $2.6 billion valuation, you will make money, I think. That was also my logic, Jay Kim. Like, when I saw the valuation, I was like, okay, yeah, it could fail. But the odds of this thing going public, given the team, the founder, the investors, and the space and how it's exponentially growing, I think there's a really good shot here, right? Like, yes, it can go to zero. Startups are risky, but if there's any chance, then this is a shot. And so if this works, I will be 1 for 1 on my VC deals and officially will be a VC that is 1 for 1. Most VCs batting average is like 1 for 1,000, quite frankly, because getting good deals is hard, dude. Most companies go bankrupt. It's not easy to like do a successful startup. So it'll be cool if we're 1 for 1, and then I'll invest in 50 other companies and hopefully get one more out of them. But it's cool. It's really cool. And I think they have a shot. Nothing for Palantir and S&P 500. It'll come out at the end of the day. It'll come out. Guys, make sure you're following on Twitter. I will be updating it immediately at 4 p.m. what the news is for Palantir. So Twitter's in the chat. Make sure you're there. I will let you guys know. I'll make a video as soon as it happens, but we got to see what happens. And we'll talk about it on Palantir Weekly as well. So we will know. Lusty Picker says there is no way Figure AI would IPO at any less valuation than $25 billion. Yeah, I think, look, again, when you're on the ground stage of this stuff, if it works, the return is good. It's same thing like Palantir, right? Palantir, I know we weren't on the ground stage, but dude, $7, $8, stocks 25. Like, you're kind of just like, all right, fuck, I got in. I knew it before everybody else. I was in there. So it's like a stock. It's just in a private company, it's a little bit different just in terms of the magnitude of how big it can get. But it's the same thing. When you're there, you're there. Robinhood, $10. It's a no-brainer to me. Bought a lot of options. And now we just got to see it play out. So we'll see. We will see. Derek says 18 months. Yep. In 18 months, guys, this company in 18 months has been able to do this. 18 fucking, like, that's insanity, dude. Startups don't do that. They don't start and then 18 months later, they're raising $675 million by the largest companies on planet Earth. Like it's just, and the media coverage around it was crazy. If you type in Figure AI, the media coverage was insane. Let's actually see on YouTube if there's some kind of quick pieces on it. And if there's anyone talking about it. I think CNBC didn't really do a piece on it yet. Yahoo Finance might have done a piece on it, but the media coverage, if you just look it up on Google, there was like hundreds of articles. Here, this is a company that the media will just like salivate over, which is another part of the investment thesis. Can Brett be someone that's going to get the media to be excited about his company? Because if you're building, just like Karp with Palantir, right? I mean, Karp, Wall Street might not like him, but the media loves Karp. Now, when I mean love, I don't mean affectionately. I mean, they love to cover him, which at the end of the day, any press is good press, right? I know they've said some weird things about Karp, but Karp's eclectic. He's exciting. When he talks, people listen, and that's all that matters. People listen. Brett is actually likable. He's not political, so he's not really tweeting about immigrants. He doesn't care that much about that, right? He cares about humanoid robotics. And so you've got a guy who's had 2 successful exits. He's building in one of the most hottest spaces in the world, will be the hottest space in the next 10 years. TAM, that's the biggest TAM you could ever imagine. And he's a likable guy. And he's a likable dude. So I think if he does go public, he's going to get Wall Street to actually want to listen to him. He's probably going to be Elon Musk 2.0 without the politics, which, quite frankly, Wall Street might really like. And look, I don't care that Elon Musk is political, right? It is what it is. But at the end of the day, it does have a little bit of an impact on the perception of it. If Brett's just straight cookie cutter, numbers, TAM, revenue, I don't care about any Democrats, Joe Biden. I don't care about that stuff. I just care about robotics. Wall Street's going to eat that up. Wall Street, plus his voice is deep. I like his deep voice. So he has a nice voice, so it's just like I think people are going to like him. And I think if people are going to like him, it's pretty cool. Amit will be like J. Cal when he invested in Uber. J. Cal took a small amount of money in Uber and he turned it into 115 million when they went public at 100 billion. So yeah, now J. Cal got in a little bit earlier. I'm getting in at a 2.6 billion valuation for Figure. J. Cal got in at 5 million for Uber. So J. Cal was like really, really early. But the point is that that's what it means. Like those results can happen. Derek's more like J. Cal in this perspective because he got in really on the ground floor. So it's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy to see how this happens. It'll be fun. It'll be really, really fun. Does this mean you're short on Tesla? No, it's the opposite. It means that it means I'm more bullish on Tesla than I've ever been. And, I've never historically been super bullish on Tesla, but the robotic thing is just exciting. Tesla right now, $200. Where's Bitcoin? Bitcoin, 61,371 right now. Tesla right now is more exciting to me than ever because I think they're going to be a robotics play along with Figure. And so I need to start building up a Tesla position even more than I did before. So it'll be cool. It'll be really, really, really cool. Derek's Twitter account. Let me put in the chat. I recommend that everyone follows. He doesn't tweet a lot. He doesn't make a lot of content. He's not like me. I'm fucking rambling all day on Twitter. He's like building insane companies. So he's not going to tweet a lot. Maybe we can get him to start tweeting more. Like I've never seen Derek just like post his opinion on Twitter. Like he doesn't do that. But you guys should follow him. Maybe he'll be inspired to tweet a little bit. And yeah, he's just straight business, dude. He's just straight business. He's moving all day, doing stuff. And again, you can read my Twitter post right now. I just made a Twitter post about this whole thing. The really interesting thing about all this is right here. He's been watching my content for 2 years, kept watching even though I didn't know what a market cap was, and has seen me evolve since then. He cared enough about me to get an allocation. I will be this guy's Walter Isaacson one day. I'm already like analyzing his fucking life, and it's a fun story. It's like a movie. He's become a mentor of mine, wants to see me develop into a real entrepreneur, and it's just one of the nicest souls who still remained a good person after all of his success. And I'm really grateful for the opportunity. He doesn't tweet a lot, but I think, maybe if he starts getting his story out there, people will listen, is what I have to say. But he's not a really content creator type of guy. So definitely follow him, and we'll see if he starts tweeting a little bit more. But he'll respond to everyone. That's the other thing. Like the way I actually started to meet him is I hit him up one day because I realized he was into Palantir, and I had a question about Palantir. And so I messaged him, and as soon as I messaged him, he gave me his phone number and he said, call me. And I was just like, okay. This is random. I didn't even know you would respond to the DM. And so then I called him, and then then we just developed a relationship. So the fact that he was even willing to respond to anybody, he's not one of those wealthy people that is obsessed with his wealth and his own story and is a narcissist. And ironically, I know people that are way, way more narcissistic, and they've accomplished like 1/1000th of Derek's success. He's actually humble, which is the crazy part about it. And you don't find people that are humble, dude. And to me, like I know I have a little bit of a funny ego on my personality on the live stream, right? But like, I would consider myself a very humble person. I mean, it's just that's how I was raised. Now I play a personality on the live stream for fun, but you guys know, like, that's just not who I am. I'm not a dick. That's just not who I am. And Derek's not a dick either, which is really cool. Steve was right about robotics, and Pokemon are the future. Yeah, now we need to do robotics, right? Or now we need to do Pokemon. That's the next step. Now we got to do Pokemon. John says that's not the only reason most successful people like to hang out with other successful people. Yeah, that's the other thing, dude. Most successful people kind of stay around with other successful people, and by measures of Derek's success, I'm not necessarily successful, right? This is where the humility, humble part of me comes in. I love what I'm doing. I love my life. I love the opportunities I'm getting. I love being a content creator, but I've not built a multi-$100-million business like Derek. Like, I haven't done that. This is like, so there's different levels to this game. And, I found out what a market cap was like a year and a half ago, right? So there's like, I'm not at that level of success. So for me, it was a really cathartic experience because I didn't expect him to be interacting with me. But I guess sometimes people want to be with people that they feel are real. And that's kind of why we ended up developing this relationship. What does this P stand for? I got this custom made from Palantir's headquarters in Denver, Colorado, guys. No, I'm just kidding. So you guys, I think I told you guys. Oh, speaking of P, Peter is also in Figure, right? Peter is also in Figure as well. I think I showed you guys the interview with Kathy Wood. I forgot to mention that. The interview I just showed you were him interviewing Kathy Wood. He's in Figure. And this guy has been one of the guys on robotics in the entire market. I'm putting the link to that podcast in the chat if anyone wants to check it out. But this is the guy right here, Peter Diamandis. Big VC guy, big robotics guy. Definitely recommend checking out his channel. And so he is in this deal. So this P is for Peter. No, I'm just kidding. This P is my mom's name for me. My mom doesn't call me Amit. I think I told you guys this. My mom doesn't call me Amit. My mom calls me Pathik, Pathik. So that is a name in India that means traveler. It means wanderer, really. And it's so funny because I found it the other day. She found it in her jewelry box and she said you should wear it. So it's real gold, and the P stands for Pathik. And it's so funny because it's kind of, when my mom picked this name for me, I made a video about this a while ago, but some people might have not seen that video, but I think I have been a natural wanderer of life. I've been so curious throughout life. I wanted to be a basketball player. I wanted to be a music star. I wanted to do so many things. That creativity that my mom had that was shut down by her parents because they were incredibly strict in India in the 1970s. And like, she wanted to go into fashion, and my grandparents were like, nope, you're not fucking doing that. And so her creativity had to be stifled, yet she wanted me to be creative. And she gave me a name that was sort of the epitome of being a creative, which is wandering, traveling, exploring, like letting your curiosity take you into a different direction. And throughout my life, my curiosity has taken me into various different directions. And every single time, dude, my mom, when I was trying to be a fucking basketball star, LeBron James, 5'7", kid trying to play basketball. My mom let my curiosity let me wander out, even though she knew that was going to fail. But she was one of those parents that just let me do it, just let me fucking do it. And that's the one thing I love so much about my mom is she let me do it. So my mom was really happy for this deal as well, because the funny thing about this whole thing about my mom, it's so funny. And I don't know if Derek's still listening to this part, but this part, I don't even think I told Derek about this. Ever since I started getting into business, like 2015, 2016, started like thousands of random small ideas that have started up and have failed and like did stuff, right? My mom told me one day, someone's going to recognize you and invest in you or take you under their wing. And she was dreaming big. She was like, one day Zuckerberg is going to reach out to you. And she's been saying this every single year because she sees how hard I work. And she's just like, what? Someone's going to recognize you one day. And it's so ironic. I'm just getting to this conclusion right now that Derek kind of is the epitome of that. And it's really weird because my mom has always felt I had a lot of potential, but obviously, I'm at the beginning stages of trying to explore that potential to make it real, right? Again, haven't built multi-billion-dollar, $100 billion businesses, but that's where my ambitions are. And so my mom always kind of felt, it's so funny. My mom actually wanted to connect me with a mentor. I remember a year ago, she was like, hey, do you want to talk to this person? I was like, who is this person? She's like, oh, he worked in the education system. And to me, I was just like, look, I'm doing something different. I'm in content. I'm in business. This guy's been like a principal his whole life. Like, that's cool. That's awesome. But it's not a one-to-one type of mentorship that really would add substantial amounts of value in my life. Chris has been a great mentor, right? But Chris is a mentor more for the stock market. And Chris is like helping me understand the stock market. So it's a little bit different, right? Less entrepreneurial stuff, more like how to think about investing, how to think about options, how to think about risk management, all that stuff. Derek is one of those guys that's come in who's just like straight up, fucking advice, like advice you can trust, advice that you can actually listen to and be like, I'm not just agreeing to agree with it. I'm agreeing with it because someone who's, done something in their life is saying it and they're speaking from experience. And when you have someone like that next to you, it really just helps, trying to figure this all out. Cause it's a hard journey, dude. It's a hard journey trying to be an entrepreneur by yourself, do your own thing, try to be a creator, try to build I've told you guys this on the stream, but I have a ton of anxiety every day. It's not anxiety that's like really bad or anything, but it is there of just not having a job and being me. Like when you don't have income coming in, stable income, like you're fighting for your shit every day. You're fighting to grow every day. Let me put out a couple more tweets. Let me make another video. Let me do more live streams. Let me connect with XYZ people. Let me blah, blah, blah. Like you're like not saying no to anything because you don't have a job. So you got to fucking figure out how to make this sustainable for yourself. Right. And that does produce a decent amount of anxiety. And I haven't had a job since I was forever. I've always had my own business. So I think I'm used to it, but it's at a different level now with content creation. And just having someone by your side is really nice to have, so it's a really good thing. So it's cool. Really, really, really cool stuff. Ian says, dude, we know we love you, right? We always got your back. I appreciate it, man. It means so much. It just means so, I think the community we're building too is just, it's a different type of community, bro. It's different on YouTube. Like guys, this live stream has gone from 200 people to 600 people to basically 1,500 people every morning. Like it's seen pretty strong growth. And I think there's two things that contribute to that. Number one, Palantir fucking going to $25. That really helped. But again, that really helped because the channel has been hyper optimized around that. So it's like Russ has this theory about music. It's like you keep putting out singles and you keep putting out albums. The one single that pops off on the radio, you have a catalog of work people will discover. You don't want to be the guy that is a one-hit wonder that makes a song and then people check out your profile and then you have one song or two songs. You want to be the guy that has 5 albums. You put out a good song. Finally, the algorithm picks it up. The radio picks it up. Someone like Derek comes into your life. And then you have a catalog of music, of art, of content that you can present to the world. So the reason why the channel has grown substantially because Palantir went up is because people were searching for Palantir. And 2-3 years of fucking making videos when the stock was in the gutter at $6 thinking, no, Snowflake at 90 is still not as good as Palantir at 7. There you go. That's kind of the work that it takes to get there when that moment happens. 90% are from Wall Street bets. Well, yeah, that might also happen. But even if they're from Wall Street bets, they're holding their gains at least, right? At least you're up on the stock, so it's not too bad. No, but one thing I will say about the Palantir community, dude, this community is filled with the smartest people in the world. Derek invested in Palantir. That's how he got to know me, right? Derek knew what the hell was happening when Palantir was at $6-7. He saw the opportunity pretty clearly. So to him, he obviously saw what was happening and he enjoyed the content. And so like this community, I think, is the smartest group of investors outside of Tesla. And quite frankly, I think there's a little bit of a deviation between us and Tesla to the upside, because the Tesla guys are just, the fact that most of the Tesla investors are saying Figure is a fraud, like Warren Redlake, all these random dudes are like, oh, Figure is a fraud. And like, it's just like, do you have to be that insecure about your Tesla investment, or you have that much of Elon's you know what in your mouth that you can't acknowledge that there's another competitor that is going to push Elon to do better? When Elon even says today, hey, bring it on. Elon's basically giving Brett a nod. You know, with Rivian, he's like, Rivian's going bankrupt. With Figure, he's not saying Figure's going bankrupt. He's saying, okay, let's do it. Let's compete. And the fact that some of these Tesla bulls are so emotional about it is really sad to me. It's really sad. It's very weird as well. It's a very toxic thing. I don't think the Palantir community has that. I really don't. I think the Palantir community is much more objective. We were objective about valuations. We're objective about CARP. We're objective about, you know, the fact that Palantir is not growing as much as Snowflake, but what is the reason why there's a difference between Palantir and Snowflake, right? Like it's more objective versus just Tesla's to the moon, Elon's the best, and we can't handle that a new startup raised money. I'm just like, okay, like it's all right. Like things will be okay. There's room for a lot of people. Palantir right now, is Palantir up? Palantir $25. Palantir, it hit $25.69 today, but right now it's at $25. Thomas says, I love Tesla, but I can't stand the community. Yeah, I mean, look, I love Tesla too, but sometimes, and the community is great. The community, there's a lot of awesome, like Farzad, I had him on the channel the other day for lunch with Amit. He's great. He, to his credit, he said nothing bad about Figure. I was like, hey, what do you think about Figure? He was like, I don't know the company, so I can't say anything. But then you've got other people like Warren, and I know Warren. He's a friend. I've interviewed him on the channel, so it's not like I'm talking behind his back. I would say this to his face. I confronted him on the channel. You know, he said Tesla should be $800. I was like, Warren, that's ridiculous. And then we had a good conversation. You can search Amit Warren Redlake, and you'll find it on YouTube. He's going off about, you know, Figure is a scam, and I'm like, dude, like, have you even watched the guy talk? Like you're just saying shit at this point, and I think it's because you're a little too emotional when it comes to Elon. Jonathan says, I found your channel 2 weeks ago, was looking up Palantir videos and found your channel. I drive a forklift 65 hours a week, so you know I'm listening half my shift. LOL. Congrats on the investment. Thank you, Jonathan, dude. It means so much when people also say that, you know, they're watching or they're listening from a different, from their daily life, because that to me is insane. It blows my mind, and I don't think content creators are grateful enough about this, but the fact that people take time out of their fucking life to consume your content, to read your tweets, to follow you, to actually be happy for you when something good happens in your life, to laugh at your jokes that are funny, even if they say it's cringe, but on the inside, they know that it's hilarious. And they understand you will probably sell out Madison Square Garden one day with a full comedy special, because anything is possible and that it's probably going to happen. The fact that they're willing to laugh at those jokes, I mean, it just means a lot, dude. It just means a lot. It means a lot. So it's humbling. It's really exciting. But so I think there's a paradox to this. It's humbling, it's very exciting, and it means the world to me. But on the other hand, it's also something that I think I was made for. And I've said this time and time again, you know, I like when I get on the stream and shout out to Derek, by the way, there were 1,500 people on the stream, and he was able to be calm. I mean, most people, they freak out knowing that there's that many people talking to him. They're stumbling over the words. He was pretty good. It sounded like me and him were just on a regular phone call. So he was, you know, it's not easy to talk in front of that many people just by the nerves of it. But when I see that many people, I'm like, dude, let's get 15,000. Let's get 150,000. Like there's something in me that I can't explain, but I don't get nervous when it comes to public speaking, ever. There was one moment I got nervous back in 2004. It was a talent show, and my mom, she forced me to go on the talent show. It was in front of like the community. There was probably like 1,000 people there at some like event. And I was supposed to do a rap song because I was like Danny Phantom. I used to like the show, and I memorized the lyrics to the rap song. And so I was she was like, you should go rap it on stage. And I was like, why? And she was like, she just forced me. I was like 7 years old. She was like, go do it. Right. My mom was pushing me to go be a wanderer, Buthick, right? Go explore the world. And so that moment was probably the most pivotal moment in my life, because I was on that stage. I forgot the lyrics, obviously, because I'm 7 years old and I see 1,000 fucking people staring at me. We need that footage. We don't have that footage anymore. That footage is in my subconscious. I remember it like it was yesterday. And I dropped the mic and I fucking run off the stage. I ran off the stage. And I remember I went down to the basement of that little town center we were at, and I started crying. I was bawling my eyes out. And my mom was just like, all right, well, you gave it a shot. And I think her having that personality, you know, her not coddling me, her not being like, it's okay, you'll be okay, you know, you don't have to, like, she was just like, hey, just wipe off your tears, it's all right, you know, you gave it a shot, you tried to do it. I think that set the foundation for me to never be afraid of being in front of people. You know, maybe on the contrary, that should have given me PTSD. But then I go on to have this debate career in high school, and I'm speaking in front of thousands of people all across the world. And I'm just like, I'm taking risks with what I say as well when I'm on stage, right? Like when I'm on stage in debate, like the jokes I make on here, and you know, I know there's sometimes they're cringe, sometimes they're funny. I made those same fucking jokes in debate. Let me give you a quick example. In debate, you know, the judge has to make a ballot. So usually debaters will make an argument about what is the role of the ballot. Why should the judge vote for you? So the judge has a ballot that they vote for at the end of the day, affirmative or negative. So you have to tell the judge during your speech, what is the role of the ballot? In this particular debate, what should the ballot decide? How should we frame the sort of way the judge comes to their conclusion? That is the role of the ballot. So I would make a joke, and it worked every time, and every judge, you know, ended up chuckling. I would say, judge, the role of your ballot is to roll me the ballot. And when I would say that, the judge would smile. And I knew I had them wrapped around my finger. I was like, I'm fucking winning this debate because I got them to laugh. They opened up, you know, like I did what I had to do. And so the fear of making those statements publicly, the fear of like taking the risks with those jokes, which doesn't always go well, right? Sometimes you say some stuff that's not necessarily the best, but like it's the lack of fear to actually try to do it. And if you get better at it, it works out at the end, and you start hitting more than you miss. And it created this persona of just like I just want to perform. I really just want to perform. And so did you use the miso joke during the debate? No, I did not use the miso joke. For those that don't know, I was on a date with a girl. We had sushi, and and she was like, "Do you want miso soup?" And I was like, "Of course, because you make me so happy." It's like those things, right? Like what I'm trying to say here. I know this is like funny, cringe, whatever. The point is, metaphorically, you have to be willing to say things and to give yourself a shot. And when it comes to performing, when it comes to speaking, when it comes to learning about the markets, that's what's the fun part about all of this. Now, on top of that, you can't just make jokes for 2 hours. People are coming for analysis. People will stay for a little bit of the joke and the humor and the funny parts of your performance. But at the end of the day, they're coming because they want to know about Palantir. They want to know about the S&P. They want to know about small caps and large caps. They want to know about, you know, why the market is down in this stock. Why is this stock growing 80% a year like SoundHound? Why is it down 15%? And that's where you have to have the research skills to actually be able to sound smart enough to even make an argument in an interesting way on the live. And I think given my history in debate, which was basically researching to make arguments, and then the performative aspect of making those arguments, and then the competitive aspect of beating other people with those arguments, all of that put together is what makes this the greatest career I could ask for if I actually take it all the way. And that's why we're here, to keep trying to do this. That's why we're here. Derek says, I wouldn't have allowed anyone in Series B if I didn't believe it was the real deal. I've invested 5x from my Series A. That's the other thing about conviction around this. A lot of people are asking me, like, what do you think about this in terms of, I'm getting a ton of DMs right now on Twitter about like, yo, do you actually think this is real? You know, is this serious? I believe that this is a deal that is real, but I also trust Derek right here saying I wouldn't have allowed anyone else in Series B if I didn't believe it was the real deal. So Derek fighting for my allocation, which he had to fucking fight for the allocation. Like, this was not easy. He had to really work his ass off to get me into this deal. I think he actually pulled that off, not only because he wants to mentor me and all this stuff, but also because he actually thinks this is a real deal. So will it work? I don't know, but does it have a shot of being the real deal? Yeah, I think it does. And with the craze and hype of robotics, which is not just hype, it is backed by the real TAM and numbers that are associated with this industry. Figure seemed like a no-brainer, dude. Figure seemed like a no-brainer. And now, on top of that, Derek said on the call when he was here, I invested in another company. I mean, like, now he got me into another deal, and I was able to put some money into that deal. I cannot say that company because that company is not public with the raise, and eventually, I don't know when they're going to be public with it, but whenever they are, I'll let you guys know. But you know, they're another company that's a really interesting company, and I was able to get into that. So now it's just a question of, like, you know, expanding the portfolio and taking different bets and seeing what can happen. Someone make one more joke. Miso wants soup. Oh my gosh. P says, be careful with angel investments amid, even if successful, it may take 10 years to touch any cash. Yeah, I agree. So this is one of the reasons. I mean, this is something everyone has to know. I kind of think of it as a stock, right? Like, yeah, you can sell your Palantir, but realistically, you should be prepared to hold it for 10 years. I say that many, many times on this channel. Angel investments, you can't even kind of touch them. You can't get liquidity. That money's gone. So whatever money I invested in Figure, it's gone for the foreseeable future. And if it ever comes back, I'll be very happy. I think it will come back, and it will be much more than I invested. But if it doesn't come back, you have to be willing to live with that. And I think that also teaches accountability. You know, it teaches a lot of accountability. But the point I'm making here is that Derek has been through hundreds and hundreds of deals. He's lost plenty of money on deals that didn't work out. And so for him to invest in Series A and be up 5x already from his investment in Series A into Series B, it's one of those companies that's already performed enough to raise the valuation 5x, right? As Derek is saying, to the point where I think they're going to keep executing. And if they can, you know, maybe that money, not seeing it for 10 years, will actually be okay to not see it. Matt says, if you'd only invest in one, Palantir or Figure. Well, here's the thing. Thankfully, I was able to invest in both. The thing about Palantir is that the TAM is just not as big as Figure. That's the issue. Like, Palantir's TAM is gigantic. I would say it's north of, 700, 900 billion. And that's not me saying that. That's what Karp said, right, on the CNBC interview a couple of months ago. But it's not humanoid robotics. Now, I think Palantir software might be able to play a role in humanoid robotics, but it's not literally $50 trillion, which is Figure's TAM. So it's one of those things where it's like, I think Palantir will be I think Palantir, if everything goes well, there's a 10x in there from $25. There's probably a 20x in there from like $6, $7, whatever it is. Figure, dude, this could be like a 500 to 1,000x, because the unit economics in terms of the net income they will produce by licensing these bots to, forget individual people, but to enterprises, is just gigantic, right? Same thing with Tesla. Tesla has a bigger TAM than Palantir. Tesla has a gigantic TAM than Palantir. The problem is Palantir's valuation is way better than Tesla. So Palantir's TAM is lower than Tesla's enterprise software versus robots, FSD, etc. But Tesla's at 600 billion, Palantir's at 50 billion. I've constantly said this for the past 2 years. The 10x from Palantir going from 30 billion to 300 billion, or 50 billion to 500 billion, versus Tesla going from 600 to 6 trillion. It's just easier in Palantir. It's happened with Salesforce, with Oracle. We've seen it, even if it takes 10, 15 years. So to me, it just makes more sense if we look at the context of valuation. I bet on the jockey. Bet is going to get you over the line. I agree. Brett is a hell of a jockey. Absolute hell of a jockey, and I think he's gonna do his thing. Akshat says, do you anticipate public revolt if we start to replace the workforce with robots and AI taking other people's job? Yes, but that is something that people are gonna have to figure out in some way. I don't know if people, the government's gonna have to figure that out. Maybe we tax the hell out of Figure. Maybe we have a special robot tax on Tesla. But people are gonna be out of a job. They're gonna need income. And I don't know how we're going to deal with that. Now, that is, to me, a multi-decade year problem that's far away. Right now, there's a labor shortage. And that's what Figure keeps saying. It's like, it's not about replacing people. It's about addressing the labor shortage. And once we do that, then we can deal with the automation part. But I don't think the automation part is happening anytime soon, dude. There's not enough jobs for people. Look at the labor market. There's 3.7% unemployment. There are not enough jobs, especially hard manufacturing labor jobs, risky jobs that are super like you could potentially die on the job. There's not that many people that want to do those jobs, and so it's tough. Let's listen to Brett. This is when they raised in 9 months ago, so this is not the most recent raise, but there is an interview of him talking with Yahoo Finance 9 months ago. So let's hear how he had to talk about the Series A and what he thinks about the future for robotics, for the future of robotics. Here we go.
The artificial, what is its purpose?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on this morning. So Figure's designing and commercializing autonomous humanoid robots. These are robots that have 2 legs, 2 arms, hands, can basically operate in a physical environment similar to humans. Our vision here is to deploy these robots to do physical labor. So we want these robots to do physical tasks in the real world, such as warehousing, manufacturing, retail, We see enormous amount of unemployment happening and just an overall kind of like flat line in the amount of people in the workforce. And we really hope humanoid robotics can help on the automation side, kind of fill that void and do jobs that are dangerous, monotonous, boring.
Brett, Brian here. Good to speak with you. $70 million, it's a lot of money. Where are you going to spend it? And do you have orders for these products yet?
Yeah, well, first off, we announced the $70 million Series A today, led by Parkway Venture Capital and a bunch of other just really great venture capitalists and investors. We're going to spend that money on 4 areas over the next 24 months. The first is overall robot development. So we've finished our first generation robot that is fully assembled, moving in our lab now. We're on to our second generation. We're working on manufacturing. We're building out and designing an end-to-end AI data engine. And then we're working on our commercial go-to-market. On that topic, we are in pretty deep discussions at this point with a few of the top tier kind of, household name groups in the US to deploy the humanoids into areas where these companies are seeing like significant labor shortages and overall jobs that are dangerous and repetitive that we can go in and help automate.
Brett, I'm curious why it has to be humanoid. In other words, I think about, for example, an auto assembly line where a lot of that is automated by different types of robots, I guess, functions. What are the situations where specifically a humanoid would be necessary? Like, give us some examples.
Yeah, I think like for the most part, so many things have been automated today that are relatively easy. So you walk in a manufacturing facility and warehouse, anything that could be automated has basically been done. We think the advantage to a humanoid form is being able to do anything a human can in the physical world. So that means, in a warehouse, that means interacting with shelves, moving items, unloading trucks, depalletizing, restocking shelves. We view like the labor population at this point. Basically, labor population is flatlining globally. Baby boomers, demographically, the baby boomers are retiring. We haven't had as many children as we probably want. And we're basically having a huge issue in the labor population. So in the US alone, there's almost 11 million jobs that are just not wanted. And we really hope humanoids can basically move into a world that was built for humans and seamlessly interact with that world and do work. So our goal is to put humanoids in these initial areas in warehousing, manufacturing, and retail to basically fill that labor void. Over time, our humanoids should be able to do anything a human can. That will take like a lot of time and development for us to get all the way there end to end, but that's the aspiration we have.
Brett, we were just showing a side-by-side graphic, your robot versus Tesla's Optimus robot. How far ahead is Tesla? Are they even ahead at this point?
Yeah, I can't really speak to like maybe what Tesla's doing internally, but at least for us, we finished our full-scale development of our humanoid in December. We just got the robot fully brought up and put together a few months ago, and as of last week, we did our first robot steps. So the robot actually did its first, basically steps in the office, like our first baby.
What was Brett? What was the office vibe when you saw that? That's kind of creepy.
Yeah, it was incredible. I mean, we worked so hard for last year, and to see something actually go from digital, like say software or CAD into like a physical, embodied robot and actually work was just a huge payoff for the team. And now coming off this funding round, we actually have the capital to make really large scale investments into the engineering and product side. I mean, we're roughly 50 people today, and it's, arguably one of the best teams in humanoid robotics. So yeah, we're all pretty fired up, and we basically have, a vision now into the next 24 months to demonstrate commercial viability and then ultimately getting to market and proving that humanoids can be, helpful to society.
So to elaborate further, or to take Brian's question out further, Brett, just about the competitive landscape, what does it look like for you when you think about, because first, initially, when you saw stuff like this, you think Boston Dynamics, and now you have the Tesla bot and you all.
S&P 511, new all-time high on the S&P, folks.
So how are you all going to stay competitive with a heavy hitter like a Tesla? Again, I agree, this is a little creepy to me.
Yeah, so I think like the heritage in humanoid robotics the last 10 years has been like very deep into R&D. Like there's been a lot of research and development groups like Boston Dynamics, IHMC, Honda had Asimo project. So Toyota had a project doing humanoid robotics. For us, we look at where are the commercial groups looking like? Who's got robots that can walk, can have hands that can manipulate and move objects to the world, have the right capital to really get this done, and have the right commercial viability to bring into market. We think there's very few companies in the world that have the ability to kind of do that today. I think what Tesla's doing is incredible. We're watching from afar and rooting for them. And here internally, we feel there's a chance for us to hopefully in the next 24 months demonstrate and then commercialize the technology, which I think will be really incredible. I think it'll feel like 50 years of the future got pulled forward. And I think having humanoids in the economy will be just a huge benefit, and we can really help fill a really big void in the economy that's happening today.
Brett, you're probably familiar with the comments that Elon Musk has been making pretty consistently about AI and the dangers of AI, and he's not the only one. And we refer frequently in this conversation to the creepiness, right? There was this unsettling nature to having a humanoid robot. If you've got a humanoid robot and AI, how do you reassure people about that sort of psychological, emotional response to something like that?
Yeah, I think it starts from the top. Like, our goal is not to basically develop and design an unsafe product. We won't do any military or law enforcement work ever. I've wrote about this in kind of the company manifesto.
That's a big deal for everyone worried that they're going to put robots into the police cars and they're going to chase you down. At least Brett is saying, in the company's manifesto, we are not working with the military or working with police, and it's purely commercial enterprises.
And, we spend a lot of time on cybersecurity, just the hardware side of things and the software side of things to make sure that we're designing a safe robot. We're ultimately designing an electromechanical robot, so it's fully electric. I would almost think of this as almost like we don't want to design a very heavy duty robot. We basically want to design a robot that can basically do the minimally viable of what humans can, move light payloads around, help do work. So we're really designing a labor tool. We want to basically design, automation that can help the world and do all these things in the economy that we don't have people to do today. You walk in any manufacturing or warehouse facility today, it's not as if we were taking people's jobs. They're having 2% weekly attrition, over 100% annual turnover. These jobs are walking 10 plus miles a day, picking 50 items an hour in very hot warehouses. We feel like there's a real need to help fill this problem in the society, and we hope that a humanoid will be able to interact with that. So our view is to hopefully design a really important product and a really safe product that can do well for humanity long term. And I think there's a real path to do that, but we have to do that very thoughtfully.
Right. And it not necessarily thinking for itself and becoming our new robot overlords. It sounds like more of a service tool. Brett Adcock, a figure.
There you go. Look, that's do some more research into this guy. Let him know what you try to form your own opinion. I watched many more of those videos on YouTube and came to the conclusion that I think this guy is legit. And I think even put that in your manifesto that you don't want to sell to the military, that's a big deal. The fact that you understand the power of this technology, and that's kind of like Elon-esque, right? That's why Elon's fucking suing OpenAI today. He's like, you guys, I made this shit to go against AI taking over. And now you guys are developing AGI and it's for a profit. I'm suing you guys. This is ridiculous. And you took my money to start it. So there's a lot of sort of, I think, morality in Brett in terms of how he's thinking about this, this entire idea, right? And this concept of robotics and its application. Peter is the founder of X Prize, MIT PhD. This is another person who's investing, guys. The Peter interview with Brett, I'll put in the chat right here. Peter Diamandis. He is an MIT PhD. And he's investing in this one. Also, this is one of the best interviews I've watched. So this one right here, I put it in the chat, and maybe one day we do a live stream and we just watch this all together, right? And we can go through it. But this is a big one. It's a good hour and a half where they're just talking about the market, the understanding of it, what's happening, what's going to be the use cases of it, and how this thing is eventually going to succeed and where it's going to go. Also, space. Dude, if we got to go into space and do space traveling and we got to go to Mars and we got to take all the waste from Earth and dump it into the applications of this technology are just unbelievable. And that speaks to the TAM. And that's why I'm super excited to be investing in the company. So All right. That's it for me. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. I'll be back on the market close in about 4 hours. So you'll see me at 3:45. We'll be back to end out this market and end out a cool Friday. Pounter Weekly will be tonight as well. And so we'll keep going from there. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Big month in March. March 8th, I'll be announcing my new software that'll be on this live stream on March 8th. I have a big interview coming up with someone that'll be at the end of March. And let's keep going. Let's keep building this market. S&P all-time high, absolutely incredible. 511 right now. Robinhood currently 1650 and Pounter 2496. And we'll keep going from there. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. Thank you all for being here, for being excited about this announcement, for the positive feedback. And now we get to talk about robots for the next decade. And we get to have all the excitement I've had for a lot of these other ideals now into robots. And we'll just keep doing due diligence and see what we come up with. It's the most exciting time to be in AI, the markets, all this stuff. And now we're here. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. I will see you guys on the market close, 3:45 p.m. And if I don't see you for the rest of the weekend, enjoy your weekend. Have some time with family. Go get some food. Take a walk. I know I'm going to go take a walk and just get to spend some time with mom and dad. And we'll be back Monday morning, 8:45 a.m. for the market open. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. I'll see you guys later today. Bye-bye.